morning and welcome to ELOsoFumarTakes. This is our 244th take, live from the Alec Bradley Lone Star studio of Azle, Texas. I'm your host, Barry Duplessis, as always, and I'm so proud, so pleased, and so privileged to be with you all tonight. This is going to be a fantastic show. A returning guest has come back, and it goes to show that if you do things right, good things come back to you, or something like that, some metaphor, some phrase. But I'm so excited to have this gentleman back. I was so excited to have him on the first time last year, and for him to come back a full year later and talk about some of the exciting things that are going on with his cigars and in his life. I'm so excited to have him back. But before we get to formal introductions, we do have to thank the people that make this show possible. That, of course, is our sponsors. Tonight's show is sponsored by, of course, Drew Estate. Drew Estate has announced its innovative new concept, the Acid Kubariety 3-pack. Yes, say goodbye to the days of having to choose between non-traditional cigars like Acids from Drew Estate and traditional cigars like the Undercrown Shade. Drew Estate is now bringing them and combining the tech. Yes, that's right. Acid Cigars Kubariety 3-packs they showcased were at the Total Product Expo in Las Vegas just last week, and they specifically are designed to be broaden and break down the palates of acid cigar smokers and enthusiasts, as well as traditional fans as well of the Drew Estate portfolio. The Kubariety 3-packs feature on-the-go consumers with a tremendous amount of value. For the price of 2 Acid Cuba Cubas, just 2 Acid Cuba Cubas, purchasers can receive 3 cigars, but wait, there's more, a free Undercrown Shade cigar included in the pack as well. So the Acid Kubariety pack features 4 cigars, 1 traditional, 3 non-traditional. The specifically selected cigars inside the Kubariety 3-packs are all Robustas, 5x54, and they're packaged inside a resealable fresh pack with a Boveda humidification system, so that they're great for on-the-go consumption. So check them out wherever acids are sold for Drew Estate. Check out your Drew Diplomat retailers as well. They should have your Acid Kubariety packs on the shelf in no time. So check it out. Acid Kubariety, 3 Acid Cuba Cubas, 1 Undercrown Shade, 1 convenient package. Check it out today. And welcome, everyone. This is our 244th take. Yeah, I've done 244 of these, and it's not going to stop anytime soon. We've got some great shows planned out for you and a great show tonight. So without further ado, sponsored by United Cigars, smoke one today and start living United. Tonight's guest is Howard Gumbs Jr. of Howard G Cigars. Howard, how are you doing, my friend?
I am absolutely fantastic, and that introduction has me fired up, bro. I just feel it running through the veins.
When you like, this is daylight savings time, and it's already late. It's already late on the East Coast for you. I mean, I'm drinking coffee. It's fucking 9 o'clock at night. I mean, we gotta get fired up, man.
Absolutely.
We gotta do it. Well, welcome back, Howard. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I'm so blessed to have you back, and special shout out to Rachel for putting this together for us again. She's always she's the queen of logistics, man, making sure that we didn't interfere with your very, very busy schedule. So thank you so much for making some time, and thanks to Rachel.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So first order of the day, thought we'd go ahead and pick my cigar. We're going to talk about this cigar in particular in a few minutes because it was very special to me this year, and you know that for sure. But I have but you get to choose always. So I know I'm really excited to have these the choice of these. So I have of course, Howard G Magic Stick Cameroon, a Howard G Black Moses Habano, the orange footband, and then I also have a Howard G Black Moses Maduro with the red band. So what cigar am I smoking tonight, Howard?
Well, in honor of your son, I think you should go with the Magic Stick.
Got a great story to tell. Absolutely, I'm going to do it. And and this cigar was very special to me as well. As you know, the number 4 cigar of the year for ELOsoFumarTakes. I was, as you know from our interview and our time last year, this cigar absolutely blew me away from the first time I smoked it, and I've enjoyed it so much going back to it, and clearly have gone back to it quite a bit. So it's a great cigar. So so that being said, I've had quite a few of them. So here's the backstory. In honor of you said in honor of my son, so here it is. So I'm in the other room just a few minutes ago, and I'm saying goodnight to my kids. And my 7-year-old, he's like, "Hey, Dad, who you having on the show tonight?" I said, "Oh, it's a gentleman named Howard Gumbs Jr." He's like, "Who's that?" I said, "Well, he owns Howard G Cigars." And he's like, "Magic Stick," with like all sorts of authoritation. Of course, my son can't even say the word cigars. He says gagars. I've said this before. He's like, "Yeah, Magic Stick." And I do a double take. My wife does a double take. She has no idea the context to this, but she just thought it sounded funny. She's like, "What?" And I said, "Wait, hold on. Just give me a second." And he says, I said, how do you know about Magic Stick? He's like, "You have a box of his gagars in your office." And I was like, oh my gosh. So my son's got a wicked memory. We talked about this before we went live. It's just unbelievable. It's crazy. So he has no idea what anything is, but he associated your cigar brand with this cigar, the Magic Stick Cameroon. So good times. Good times. So I know this is typically the cigar you end the day with. What are you smoking up though right now?
Well, currently right now I'm smoking the Black Moses Blanco.
I thought that's what it looked like.
So I know we last time we did the podcast with you, it was pretty much the original line that we had. So, we've had 4 new releases since then, which I have here next to me to show you as well. So I figured I would light up one of those right now.
Perfect. Yeah, we're gonna go into that here in some short order and everything. So but before that, kind of we were talking a little bit about football before the show, but I mean, how about your Orlando Magic last night, man? OT victory over the Miami Heat. That's got to be a huge win for y'all.
Yeah, literally, that was a great win. We recently lost to them a few weeks back, so this was the last time we were going to see them in Orlando. So it felt good to actually get a victory in overtime, because last time the game went into overtime, and then Jimmy Butler took over. And last night, the Magic was up by 10, about 2 minutes and a half left, and Jimmy Butler took over again and tied the game. The guy looked like he was literally Michael Jordan's son, and sent that game into overtime. But luckily, the Magic was able to pull it out. So we ended the last season game against Miami on a positive note. And I think we got maybe 6 home games left after that, and hopefully we'll see. I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but hopefully they can end the year off strong for us.
Now, I've actually heard that conspiracy theory, like that just randomly, like him having a great game, and like, oh man, he played like MJ. I've heard that conspiracy theory that he is literally like MJ's like illegitimate son or something. Like, have you heard this rumor?
Oh, tons of times.
Oh yeah. I have to say, like when they did, I've heard it a couple of times and I've just kind of like blown it off, whatever. And then of course, I'm scrolling through social media, and of course, what do people do? They post a picture of the two side by side, and I'm like, oh man.
There's a resemblance there.
I was like, oh dude, that's scary. That's absolutely scary. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. It's probably, I mean, it's complete horseshit, but I mean, it's still fun. It's still funny to see, man.
Exactly.
Yeah. How are they playing your Magic this year? Have you enjoyed? I know you've seen some pretty good games. They've played some good teams really tough all season.
I'll tell you this, Bear, one of the shocking things is kind of mind-boggling is the Magic will show up for good teams and somehow beat them. And then teams that you expect for them to just run all over, they'll turn around and lose or get beat bad by them. And so, I mean, they beat Golden State this year, Right. That was a huge victory for them. And they've beaten a lot of quality teams. They've beaten the Sixers this year and stuff like that. So to see them, I believe that they have the upside. That new talent they got with Paolo Banchero, that kid is like a phenom. When you look at him, 18 years old with a man body, I think he's definitely going to win Rookie of the Year, hands down. And but hopefully they can add some more pieces and just get able to gel the right way. And I think they should be able to make at least a playoff push, hopefully, for next season.
Do you think they have a chance at 40 wins this season? I mean, they're like 28 right now. That means 12 more
No,
games.
there's no chance to get 40. And they're at 28, you said?
Yeah, 28.
Yeah, and I know there's what 15 games left, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a little bit of a stretch. I didn't even do the math on that because they're. I saw they had 28 wins. I didn't see how many losses they had.
Yeah, there's about 7 home games left, I believe. So there's 15 games total.
Yeah.
So let's say I wouldn't bet my money on that one. They would have to pretty much be perfect.
I mean, yeah, I guess it's possible, but obviously not probable and everything. So, yeah, I remember you were talking about how they played tough against big good teams. I know they played my Celtics pretty good this season too. But it reminds me of my alma mater. I swear to God, they TCU football when I was growing up. They had a great season this year, obviously, but when first for a run there in the late aughts, they were they were notorious for that. They would go out. They beat OU when Adrian Peterson was there.
Mm-hmm.
I won a lot of money on that game just because I took a flyer on TCU. I was getting such good odds. I was like, okay, I'll bet on my home team just once, and it worked out really well for me. But then they came and lost to that season. They lost to our bitter rival. It was an atrocious team. That team won 2 games all season long, and one of them was us. It was ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So, but they're notorious for that. Also, randomly, Kansas, not Kansas State, Kansas. Always, yeah, the Jayhawk in football, mind you, not basketball.
Yeah.
We'll always play TCU tough. Like it'll always be like a close score. It's crazy. I'm like, they haven't had a good football team since I don't know the 1930s. Like, why are what are we doing? But yeah, we always blame tough. It's crazy. So that's got to be fun. Because I know you're a season ticket holder, so you get to see them play against some great players, but that's also got to be frustrating too.
It really is. I mean, not being able to close. There's a lot of games that the Magic have the game in hand. It's right where you want it. They might have a 5-point lead, 4-point lead. You get down under 3 minutes. You know, the guys your center is jacking up threes. So if your center is jacking up threes, who's going to get the rebound if you miss the shot? And so I just think it's like younger players not being able to control the game or understand how to control the game in the last few minutes. You have a 5-point lead, get a high percentage shot. Go for a shot that drive it to the basket, do something towards the rim, get a possibility for a shot to make it or to get a foul and go to the free throw line. Not just jack up a 3 with your center. And those are the things that made me go bald, as you can see right here, I'm bald, because I can't keep any hair because of things like that. So, but like I said, with time, with maturity and age, I think they'll be able to gel together, get the right pieces, and be able to make a playoff push for us, hopefully for next season.
Do you like Mosley as a coach?
No.
Okay. He's from the Mavericks, so he was a Rick Carlisle guy. So
I'll give an example. So the best shooter on the Magic team was a guy by the name of Terrence Ross. Pure best shooter on the team. The guy didn't play for the last 2 months. No reason why he did not play. He just listed as a DNP coach's decision. So they release him. They let him go. The guy gets picked up by the Phoenix Suns. Now, Kevin Durant just recently got hurt, right? Again.
Yeah.
Ankle. The guy last night has 25 points in 23 minutes. And he's like off of 6 3-point shots.
Jesus.
So you mean to tell me the best shooter that was on the Magic team?
That's Klay Thompson numbers right there. Jesus.
Yeah. And the guy's coming off the bench.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's sick.
Then with Phoenix, he's already put up 20 points 3 times off the bench in limited minutes. But he can get no playing time with the Magic. It's just, I think that people come to Orlando and they get their feet wet and then they go somewhere else and they become stars. The only one I would say that they came here and they was the biggest star here and then they dwindled when they left here was Dwight Howard.
Oh, Dwight Howard. I was gonna take it back further than that. I was gonna say Penny.
Yeah, well, Penny's issue is, you know, I believe, you know, the most dominant player ever was Shaquille O'Neal. So
Sure.
you have this guy in the paint. Penny's able to play one-on-one against anybody because you're going to double team the big fella next to the basket, not at the top of the key. And so now you're able to play one-on-one. He gets a deal with Nike. He has his little Penny doll. He has his own shoe that got the 1 cent on the back. And at the end of the day, his head got bigger where he's thinking he was the man over Shaq. And so when Shaq left, you saw what happened.
Right.
Now you got to drive to the hole yourself. You're getting double teamed at the top of the key. And now all of a sudden you get injured. Then you get injured, you don't never come back as the same player that you were before you got injured. Same thing was with Grant Hill. He gets a major injury in Detroit. They sign him to a $90-something million contract along with Tracy McGrady. They bring him in Orlando. He never really plays for the Magic.
Yeah.
And never was that same guy he was in there.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's the curse of Disney World, but then, so I guess Disney, you know, they say that's the magical place on earth. Well, we need to get some magic to the Orlando Magic because for a while they were called the Orlando Tragic, and but hopefully, you know, we'll see if the tide turns. But hey, I live here, you know, I gotta have some type of support for the city I live in and pay taxes in, right?
Right. Contribute to your own misery, right? As a fan. I do agree with you on Dwight Howard though. That's an interesting observation, man. He was so much fun to watch when he was in Orlando. It wasn't quite the second coming of, I mean, it was in a way, but he wasn't Shaq, but it was kind of like that. But so here's an interesting question. Yes, okay, so I know he won a championship in Miami, but take that away. Take Shaq's championship in Miami away for a second.
Okay.
Because it's two different times in his career. Like he's like young versus, you know, just past the prime, I guess you could say. Would you take his career in Orlando or his career in Miami?
His career in Orlando.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, he was still pretty dominant in Miami, but like it was, man.
He was on the back nine in Miami, man. He was riding the coattails of Dwayne Wade.
Yeah.
When Shaq came into the league, he was an absolute force. And so, I mean, well, I give that one of my closest friends, and he's actually my all-time favorite Magic player, very close friend of mine, is Nick Anderson. And so
Loved him.
I have the most talks with Nick about basketball. We talk literally weekly about basketball and Magic and the way things are going. And one of the things we always talk about is if that team could have stuck together, if Shaq wouldn't have went to the Lakers, how many championships you think the Magic would have, you know, got a chance to really have? Because at that time those guys were young, you
Right.
know. So a lot of times when you're young, you know, you have a lot of egos and things like that. But they had a nucleus that was pretty unstoppable. When you look at it, you had Penny at the point, you had Nick Anderson at the shooting guard, right? And then you had Dennis Scott, 3D at the small forward. You had Horace Grant, who had championship experience and pedigree from the Chicago Bulls. And then you have Shaq at the center. And this was Shaq when he was like small. He was still big, but he was small. When he got to the Lakers, he was bigger Shaq.
Yeah, he got bulky. Well, like he was ripped. Yeah.
Back then he was breaking the rim. I remember seeing him break the rim in the middle of a game like 4 times. You were like just in awe, you know. But if that nucleus could have stayed together, that literally could have been a dynasty for Orlando. But I guess it wasn't in the cards, you know.
Yeah, I think he would have won 2 if he had stayed with the Magic. I think he would have won. I think that's a conservative number. I think that's a good number.
I think they could have won. But here's the thing. It would have had to be, they would have won the times that he was winning with the Lakers. I think he would have won that then with the Magic. Because I don't believe anybody was going to beat Michael Jordan while Michael Jordan was actually still playing. That's
fair.
In my mind, that's the pinnacle.
Yeah, those would have been fun because they probably would have made it to the
East Coast Finals.
the East Coast Finals. That would have been those would have been some fun series to see MJ go up against him. Oh man, that what could have been, right?
What could have been, right?
What could have been. Yeah, that's exciting. Well, I know we just got lost in some basketball history there, but we do have some cigars talk to get to, of course. And so that, of course, brings us to tonight's major point, which is always brought to you by the folks at Protocol Cigars, Power of the P. Tonight's major point is brought to you by the people. Yes, cigar people, the people who know everything about a lifetime of service. Protocol Cigars is more than just pool parties and good times. Well, maybe it is. But behind the fun is a motivation for service, a motivation for giving back. From the original Protocol Blue to the latest release in the Lawman series, Phoebe Cousins, Protocol has always been about honor, passion, and yes, the people. It's what their life's work has been and always will be about. Power of the P, Protocol Cigars. Now, we do have a little bit more, I guess, personal updates for you coming later in the show, but let's dive into the cigar component here. Lit up the Magic Stick Cameroon, of course, which was my number 4 cigar of the year this year. Howard, I have to tell you, I absolutely, I love this cigar. I love how, every time I hand it to somebody, they also love it too. It's just a fantastic smoke. It, like I said, when I told the story to you last time, when I first lit this cigar, it just blew me away in a way like just really surprising. Very unique flavor characteristics. Love it. I've enjoyed it every single time, and it just it's been a fantastic cigar. I know you're proud of it. I know it's the cigar you end every day with, but just wanted to congratulate you and number 4 cigar of the year, man. It's fantastic.
It means a lot, man. We appreciate you. We're definitely excited, for people to get a chance to try it. Put a lot of work into it and passion. And so to hear from, the fellow cigar connoisseurs to give us, the nod or the tip of the hat to that, it just means a lot to us. So we're definitely appreciative of that.
Yeah, I did my best. I tried selling it to some of my retail friends at PCA last year. So I know I got some nibbles for you. I don't know if they've actually went through with it, but I know I got a lot of people over to your booth. So I was I was excited about that. So but you definitely, there's a lot since the last time we spoke and sat down and everything. Lots come out. PCA 2022. You build on this great foundation from the previous year. It was your first year at PCA last year. This, 2021 was your first year. 2022 is your second year and everything. Same setup. You, Ike, Leon, all there, having a great time. One of our favorite booths we visited. You heard that on our post game show that we did. We just loved the time that we got to spend with you guys. It was such a great time and everything. And I kind of wanted to start off with Leon's newest addition to his portfolio. So the Little Searcy is the latest rendition. So tell us a little bit about this. I mean, it's the same blend from my understanding, right? You're just a shorter Vitola.
Yeah. So when we originally made the big Searcy, Bear, our whole process is, when it comes to my All Pros, I told them I can't just make a cigar and give it to you, because that's not authentic and that's not right to the consumer. I believe this is a residual business, and I believe they will always try something one time, and especially if you have a high profile name, they'll definitely try it if they're a fan of yours. I said, but if it's absolutely awful or if something that they don't like, they're not going to buy it again. So at least with my All Pros, our goal and our whole mission was for us to make their favorite cigar. And if it's their favorite cigar, then it's my job to sell it to the masses. So when we make the cigar for Searcy, the big Searcy, that was a 60 ring gauge by 60 ring gauge by 8 3/4.
8 3/4, yeah.
8 3/4. So that particular cigar literally is a phenomenal stick, but you have to have commitment. And if you don't have commitment, then that's not going to be the cigar for you to smoke. Even for myself, I would smoke it during a football game. So I would start that cigar off in the first quarter during kickoff. That would last me until the end of the third quarter for me personally. And other people say, Howard, man, that's a 3-hour smoke for me, or a 3.5-hour smoke. But that cigar was made for Leon. And for Leon, that's a 55-minute smoke.
I know. He said that to me. I still couldn't believe it, man. Oh.
So what I did was I said, well, Leon, of course, looking at the market of cigars in general, that cigar, I made that specifically for you. And there's going to be some people that's going to love that stick once they get the courage or the commitment to trying it. I said, but for the masses, I need to make something that more people will be able to smoke and really taste this flavor without the length that goes in with it. And so we have the Little Searcy here, which is what we released in September of 22. And so this is a 5.5 by 58 ring gauge. So it's the exact same blend. We just brought it down a little bit. And so since the release of this, the sales have really literally been off the charts. The feedback from it has been great, and it's been exciting for us. I just have one thing. Leon is not allowed to smoke the Little Searcy because he's not the Little Searcy, he's the Big Searcy. But this is a phenomenal stick. It comes in a 20-count box.
Nice. I have to say a couple side notes about this project with Leon. So I'm sure he gets this all the time. He's probably tired of hearing it. When I shook that man's hand for the first time at PCA this year, I couldn't believe it. I was like, I just could not believe how big they were. And when I saw that was the first time I saw the Little Searcy, I was like, man, that just has to feel like a toothpick in his hand. Like it's just so, I mean, and it's really funny. Like I don't have big hands, but I have a couple of colleagues on the coalition. You met Ben and Aaron and Coop. Ben's got some pretty big mitts himself, and he even said it too before I said anything. He was like, "Oh my God, did you see his hands?" I was like, "Yes, man, that's crazy." But that Little Searcy has to be like a toothpick in his hands. But yeah, he said the first time he smoked, he said it's about a 55-minute smoke on average. The Big Searcy.
Mm-hmm.
It took me 4 hours and 1 minute. I timed it. The one that you gave me last year, I sat down, I did it. We didn't do it on air. I smoked it a few days later, and that was like a 4 hour and 1 minute smoke. It was like just nuts. It was just over four hours. I remember because I timed it. I was like, it was great. I really enjoyed it. Like you said, it was a commitment. It was an afternoon for me. But man, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed the Little Searcy from this year's trade show. It was really good. Have to say there's probably more Little Searcy's in my future than the Big Searcy, but but both are great cigars, and this is a great compliment to the next one in the line. So wanted to I guess we'll come back to your other All-Pro. We'll kind of finish up with Ike here in just a second, but let's jump to the cigar that you're smoking. So you launched last year with 3 Black Moses projects, 2 regular production and 1 limited. You've got the Habano, which is the one I've got here. It's got a orange footband. The Maduro with the red footband.
Mm-hmm.
Now the limited it was black, correct? A black footband?
So the limited, it doesn't have a footband on it. It has a secondary band.
Secondary band, that's what it is. Okay, right.
Now that's the first. So you're right. You have the Maduro and the natural you just showed, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Those 2 are the box press perfectos, and
right.
then we have the limited. The limited is the first one that's round on the Black Moses. Still tapers in, and
but it's a traditional Parejo. That's correct. Yeah. And I know this cigar was these cigars, the natural and the Maduro, were inspired by your favorite cigar, which was the Padron 80th.
Yes, sir.
So right. So you come out with a third Black Moses, which is the one you're about to show, which is the Black Moses Blanco.
Yes. So the limited Blanco is what I'm currently smoking. It looks like this. And what this cigar is, what I noticed, Bear, is that in my research, and looking at numbers, 50%, 40 or 50% of the market is Connecticut cigars. And so we had nothing on our line that went to the Connecticut market of people. And a lot of times people, if you're walking into a shop, let's say, I always shout out Corona Cigar because it's like a superstore when you walk in there. And then for the average individual that's just walking down the lines, down the aisles and looking, they might look at the Black Moses Maduro and see that San Andreas wrapper. They might look at the Leon Searcy and look at the length and the size of it and get intimidated. But we noticed that we didn't have anything for the new smoker, the smoker that said, listen, I love to smoke, but I really have a mild palate or a palate that is not that strong, or I can't take a strong cigar and things like that. Because up until that point, I would lead them to the Cameroon, was always my go-to. And so I decided to take the limited Black Moses and to take that same blend because I really enjoyed that blend and to put that with a Connecticut wrapper on it. So what I named it was the Limited Blanco. So it's the same identical binder and filler as the limited, Black Moses Limited, but it just has a Connecticut wrapper. And so that makes it the Blanco. And so literally since the show, this has been the #1 cigar in our box sales.
Oh, wow.
It has been the Limited Blanco. And so I believe that was a good choice we made when we came out with that. Sales have been having problems keeping it in stock. And in my book, that's a good thing, right? And so, but it's a cigar that I smoke. I've added it into my repertoire now. I smoke this cigar a lot. I don't know, I have an urge to taste that cigar a lot. And so a lot of times with coffee or even if I'm just, right now I'm pairing it with champagne. I'm literally pairing it with champagne. And so
nice.
I was like, this is my second time getting able to be on the show here with my man Bear. Let me pop a bottle of champagne. Let's sit back and relax.
Celebrate.
Let me start off with this one first, and I can say it's been really smooth and good so far. So we're definitely having a ball with that particular those bitolers have been really good on the Black Moses line.
Wish we had talked about the champagne before. I had a bottle of Prosecco. I would have popped. I would have drank some bubbly with you.
Right.
There you go. There you go. Nice. I love pairing cigars with champagne. Not like on a regular basis, but I really think it's I think it's really cool how the bubbles, the flavor components of champagne, particularly like semi-dry, not like super dry and definitely not super sweet. And I think it pairs well. And I'm not a wine and cigar guy, really. It has to be like definitely red, but champagne every once in a while is really cool. Like it pairs really well with cigars, particularly like the ELOsione Epernay. I haven't tried it with yours, so that'll be something to do. That'll be something to do for sure. Now the Blanco, we call it the limited, so it's the limited Blanco, and then we had the original limited. So like, what makes it limited, Howard? Is it the number of boxes produced each year? Is it one and done limited? What makes it limited?
So I named it limited because I didn't know if I was going to keep that cigar at the particular time.
Okay.
So the sales went so well for us that I just kept it the name limited, just to differentiate from the different Black Moseses. And so what happened was, what happened, Bear, is, and so the new cigars that 2023's new production on the Black Moses Maduro Natural, it would not have that cedar there. It would have a secondary band.
Okay.
And the secondary band would be in orange that says natural. That secondary band would be in red, and it would say Maduro on it. And nice. So the limited has a black secondary band that says limited in white on the black band, and then it's white with gold that says Blanco. Because what was happening there is people were reaching out, posting pictures, and and saying, "Man, I had that Black Moses. I love that Black Moses. It's a great cigar." They would go somewhere trying to purchase the cigar, and they say, "You have the Black Moses." They say, "Yes," and they say, "Well, which one?" And they're like, I don't know. I just know it was the Black Moses. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we wanted to make sure that we were able to have something that it could sit on its own. So it's like Black Moses Limited, Black Moses Maduro, Black Moses Natural, and then you have the Blanco. And so I think that's our four horsemen of that particular brand and series. And I think we're going to leave it like that. And if anything else we would do, it would probably be more of an exclusive, you know, or a limited release. But the limited name on these two lines will be to stay.
Okay, but they are regular production.
Yes. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, that's cool that the cedar's going away. That way, I actually have a few boxes left of both, so that'll be able to differentiate between the newer release and the original, I guess, original releases. So that's cool. That's nice. What a cool little bit. Why'd you get rid of cedar? What made that decision?
Well, for us, looking at talking with the factory and already having the issue with people not being able to tell the difference between the two, that was number one. And then number two,
that's a good point. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was my main issue. So I give an example. There was a write-up on us that was on Half Wheel. They did this. So apparently, the gentleman reached out to Corona Cigar, ordered online the Black Moses Natural, which is the orange band.
Right.
Band. Well, they in return received the Black Moses Maduro.
Oh.
So when he lit it and smoked it, the review that he gave us was like an 80 something, maybe a low 80 or something like that. But when I looked at the notes of what he said I felt it was more of a toasty flavor for me. It was more of a and that's all because of the San Andreas wrapper.
Right.
No, but you didn't get what you actually ordered. You ordered this particular product, but you got what you didn't order. And so, of course, it didn't leave a positive review from the person that ordered it.
Yeah.
So when I saw that, I was like, well, I get it if you didn't like that particular stick, but all in all, the Black Moses Maduro is still the #1 seller out of everything. Right. But the simple fact of the matter is, I don't want to have those issues with a regular consumer item where they want the natural, but they both look similar. Right. And somebody sends them the Maduro instead, or vice versa. Because I have guys that love the Maduro, and the Maduro's their top 3 cigars in their constant rotation. But you give them a natural, they're like, oh no, I like it, but it's not my Maduro. And a lot of times, first, being a newer brand, and people get with me, and we're sitting down, we're having cigars and we're smoking. I always have them smoke those cigars back to back, right? Because it's a fairly short smoke. It's not a forever smoke in that box press perfecto. Yeah. So okay, either are you a Maduro guy or are you more of a natural guy? How am I a natural guy? Okay, well, let's smoke the natural first. Smoke the natural. Okay, now the next cigar we're gonna smoke next is the Maduro. Now, after you smoke that one, I want to know right then and there, which one did you like best? Not knocking the other one down, but which one did you prefer?
Sure.
And then I will get a person to tell me, well, actually, I actually like the natural more, or I actually like the Maduro more.
Right.
So that was my main thing that I wanted, is just to make sure that a person will be satisfied with what they order, whether they're ordering online from any company or our product, that it can't get it mixed up.
Yeah, that's really, I mean, that brings up a really good point. I mean, Half Wheel really makes mistakes like that. So that just goes to show you they're just going off of what was ordered and stuff. And of course they didn't know, right? You're a newer brand, things like that. I will say though, if you got in the 80s, like, I didn't read the review, so I don't know what was actually said about it, but that's actually not a bad score. They're tough. They're tough, man. They are tough reviewers. So if you got in the 80s, it's not that, it's actually pretty good review for the most part. So
more what he said in the review is that they wanted they didn't get what they wanted.
Sure, that makes
You know what
sense.
I mean? So, and I said, that's fine. But what we're going to do is we're going to try to eliminate those type of scenarios. Because that's like if I order a ribeye steak and I got a T-bone. I mean, did I still get a steak? Yeah, but
Yeah.
I actually wanted the ribeye.
Right. No, 100%.
Difference, and I understand. So we're just trying to fine tune things, because my whole mission, literally, Bear, is to make sure that the people are happy and they get what it is that they want. I believe out of the 12 lines that we have, there's something on there that's gonna resonate to your palate.
Yeah, the expansion really brought a lot of things to the table, not just I'm going to answer one of the questions I initially had for you. We're going to talk about it here in a second. But I think just talking to you over the last couple of minutes, I think I figured out the answer myself. I'm still going to ask you, but we'll move on to the Magic Stick line. So again, you originally released the Cameroon and the Habano, both in the Toro size. And so there's a new, again, at the trade show that you released another Magic Stick, which is the Magic Stick Connecticut. So so here's the question, because we're going to get to Ike's cigar here in just a second, but that's 2 Connecticut cigars, one in the Black Moses line, one in the Magic Stick line. Why did you decide to do 2 Connecticut's in 1 year? What led to that decision?
Well, the reason I decided to do the Connecticut Magic Stick is because we have 3 Magic Sticks. We have the Robusto size as well. That's a 52x5, which is the Habano. Then we have the Habano Toro. We have the Cameroon. But one of the things I really noticed is that, like I said before, I had no love in the Connecticut market. I had no love that I gave to the Connecticut market. And so I have individuals that say, man, well, I want something that I can smoke for in the morning time. I want something I can start my day with, Howie. I don't typically smoke a stronger cigar or medium to full until it's later on in the afternoon, later on in the evening, and I'm pairing it with something to drink or something like that. But in the morning time, I typically smoke, a Connecticut or a Connecticut, a milder version cigar that way. So what I wanted on the Magic Stick line was to actually complete the line as well. And so we came out with the Connecticut. This particular cigar, I had it in the works for a while. I just decided to release it along with the other ones for the simple fact that I believe this cigar is a top 5 cigar for next year. But if it gets in the hands of the right individuals and they smoke it, and they'll really love this cigar. It's mild, but it's full of flavor. So the whole flavor profile of this cigar is absolutely great. I smoked this cigar before I smoked what I'm smoking now. And it gets to the point where it actually had me cutting down, it cut into the amount of my Cameroons I smoke now. Because I want to keep my Cameroon in my mix, but then that Connecticut, I kind of get the urge to smoke it because the taste it draws me a little bit. And then what I love about this is when I don't really want to have a big ring gauge cigar, the Black Moses Blanco is still a 58 ring gauge.
Right.
But for me, I'm a big fan of Toro sizes, 50 ring gauge sizes. For me, I'm able to, taste the binder, the feel of the wrapper more. The notes of it just expresses extremely well. And so when we released this cigar, this became the number 2 in box sales, which was really cool for us since that time. Wow. And so that's a phenomenal blend for us, and we're excited about it. I'm looking forward to taking that same blend and now just making it a tad bigger for the people that want that 58 to 60 ring gauge for that same thing. That's something that we're looking at also for the future. But I wanted to show a lot of love, Bear, to the people that
milder cigars, yeah.
but let them know that you can have a mild cigar that's full of flavor, that's not bland, that's not, it doesn't taste like you're smoking a paper bag, like, you know, it's like a mild cigar.
Yeah, I've
But
had I've had that experience. I know what you're talking about.
for me, the biggest compliment to me is my buddies that are full body smokers, man, that say, man, listen, this cigar is something that I smoke early in the day, because even though it's not a full body, but I love how the cigar expresses. And so for that, for us, that all, you know, this means the world to us for that.
The this was my question, but this is, I kind of just talking to you a little bit about it. I think you just answered the question in one part, but my other, again, this is just an assumption, Howard. I don't want to you know, make this your answer, but the Magic Stick is more of, I would say, your everyday cigar. It's not a value cigar, it's not a budget cigar. It's still premium, but it's a great value price point, especially in today's market where everyone's coming out with like $30 cigars and everything. And then the Black Moses Blanco is a little bit more of your premium. So I'm guessing they don't really cannibalize each other, right? Because you've got basically two different price sects.
There's two different markets. So I can give you the prices that's retails here.
Sure, that's fine.
So I'll say, like, for instance, so our Magic Sticks are going to be a $12 price point. Let's say, like, if you're looking at Corona cigar, right? That's going to be a $12 price point. The Black Moses line is going to be a $15 price point. So for the person that's a $8 to $10 smoker, they're not going to really complain to go $2 more to get a quality cigar, and then turn around and say, you know what, I like that. I don't mind paying an extra $2 for that stick.
Right.
But to get an $8 to $10 smoker to tell them now you need to smoke a cigar that's $15, if that's out of their budget, you know, that's not going to be their everyday smoke. That might be a cigar that they'll smoke on Friday. And to your point, Barry, you're absolutely right. There's so many individuals coming out with $30 cigars, $30, $35, $40, and you sit there and you smoke it and say, man, there's some $9 and $10 cigars to me that are absolutely better than this $35 cigar.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's I don't want to, for us, we don't want to get to the point where we forget about the blue collar person, the person that goes to work with a lunch pail. They go have a hard days of work. They want to come have a cigar and then also be able to pair it with a nice scotch or wine or whatever, and then go home with their family and have dinner. Right. You know, and call it a night and get ready to do it again. And a lot of times people forget about the blue collar man, the regular person. They pricing points things towards, the luxury market, but I want to move product.
Mm-hmm.
If I can make affordable quality cigars, but that are literally premium, and I'm going to want to make sure I can keep it in a range where a person is saying, hey, a box of the Black Moses is only a 10-count box. Okay, so I'm a man. I get paid on Friday. Let's just say, you know what, $150 is not a lot for me to get my one of the cigars, a box of cigars that I enjoy the most. That I really enjoy. So when it comes to the 21-count box here, but it's $12, it's actually around the same type of thing that the feedback that we get. But when you go to the higher level, now a person has to start thinking, man, did I do all my husband duties? Is all the thing for, right? Is my wife going to really, trip on me because I spent this amount of money on a box of cigars? You know what I mean? On cigar. We're just trying to be cognizant of just, number one, making quality products, number one. Number two, making sure our feedback is good from people. You're one of the guys that like Rachel and I talk about a lot. We have some new things coming out. We're going to send some stuff to you, let you try it out. We really respect your palate and
thank you.
Cigars and stuff like that. But just try to do it the right way and be consistent and just build a brand that's that really is for the people.
I mean, and you do have the ultra premium offerings too. The All Pro series is in that echelon too, which makes it really, really nice. Loved the one of a kind. Smoked a few of those last year. Again, a little bit more pricey point. And then just to move on to that. So Ike comes, so you have the little Searcy for Leon. Then Ike has the one of a kind, the Sumatra wrap. So you guys released the breakfast cigar, which is also another Connecticut shade offering, but this is under Ike's brand. So talk a little bit about that project. Now that's a completely different Vitola than the original, completely different. Is it completely different blend, or is it just again a wrapper swap?
It's the same blend. So what we did is this. Ike is known as greatest cornerback in Steeler history, either one or two, depending on how you flip the coin to who you're talking to, right? So that first cigar had to be something with the Steelers. And so that's when that blend was created. It's 80% Nicaragua, 20% Lancaster, PA. His favorite wrapper was the Sumatra wrapper. He wanted that little Bahique pigtail on the end, let that cigar sit in Nicaragua for additional 4 months before they ship it to us, to our warehouse in Orlando. That's that game plan. So that particular inside, this logo here with his picture and the super, that was all the Steeler. Well, we had an opportunity that we had a suite for the bowl game for his alma mater. And so his alma mater is Louisiana Lafayette, the Raging Cajuns. They happen to be playing Marshall. And so we're there in the suite. And when we came, we had 200 of the original Ike Taylors with us. The goal was, if they win, this is the cigar we're going to be on the field and in the locker room, giving to everybody from the players to the coaching staff, of his alma mater. Well, luckily they won. And the most beautiful thing is seeing Ike in red, wearing red, their Lafayette color. He's on stage, he's on the field, handing the cigar to the president, to every player, to the coaching staff and everything, and celebrating with them in the locker room. That was an awesome gesture. Then I started realizing, and on top of it, I said, there's a lot of college teams that when they have a significant victory, they're smoking cigars. Alabama versus Auburn, the Tennessee game. Like they win certain things, they're all celebrating with a cigar. And so I'm like, we need to do something to give shed some light to your alma mater, because it was that school that made it available for the Steelers to meet you and get you into the league. He says, you know what, bro? I like that idea. He's like, well, I want a breakfast stick. And so we worked on a couple of things, and I'm like, you know what? Let's not try to reinvent the wheel. We already found out what was his favorite cigar. Let's just switch it, make it smaller, and then he wanted to have a torpedo. And I'm like, let's make that happen. And so this is what we came up with. So the other box is black. So this one here is a matte red. The inside of it has the picture, his Hall of Fame picture for when he was with Louisiana Lafayette. And so this is what the cigar looks like. And so that same one-of-a-kind logo, but it's more red.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
With that.
Yeah, I wondered about the red hue, and I hadn't seen the box. I didn't remember. I know you guys had it on display, and I didn't commit it to memory until I'm seeing it now. So that's a really cool tribute. I love it, man. Little nod to the roots.
Yeah. So the way we play it with, we look at this as the breakfast stick. We have the one of a kind, the Sumatra. That's profile. That's considered like a lunch stick. And then it also gives us room for later on to come out with what we would call our evening or dinner stick from that same blend, And so that's something we're going to end up doing in the future. But This stick has been sold out for a while from the show as well. We found that was the #1 as far as stick sales. And so,
Wow. Okay.
so one of the cool things, we get breakdowns on everything from what sells in stick sales, what's been the top sales actually in boxes, different things like that. So we get the whole lineup. And this cigar has been extremely well for us, and sold out. And in the next, I believe 2 weeks, we should have a nice supply of these to take care of the growing demand for this particular cigar as well.
That's awesome. It's really great to see that these new releases are also doing incredibly well for you. You know, like, I think that's always like the, that's always like the big concern is like, you're going to get that initial wave, obviously, but it's that second and third rotation in the humidor, turnover on the humidor where you really start to see success. So it's really great that, this one's leading in stick sales, the other one's leading in boxes, and they're doing really, really, really well for you. That's fantastic. These were some really cool, like I said, it was interesting because they were a lot of them, 3 out of the 4 were very similar. But I can appreciate what you're doing, like you said, with just kind of dividing it up, because you've got the, I keep saying word value. That means something different typically, because that means more like usually like a budget cigar, but you have the premium cigar sect in that $10 range. You have the $15 range, and then you have the 20+ too with the one of a kind series and the all pros and everything. So I think that really, really kind of expands the gamut of your portfolio, and it makes it a lot more attractive to different kinds of smokers at different kind of stages. So
Yeah.
I can appreciate that. That's really cool.
It's different markets as well.
Sure, right.
Different markets. So I'll tell you, there's certain markets where this cigar has outsold the other one of a kind. And
Okay.
because this particular cigar, not only is it a Connecticut wrapper, it's a 21 count box. This cigar retails at 14. So that's a little different between, 20, but certain markets, they're like, I'm in love with that breakfast stick. Even had people sending pictures to the cup to us with the tattoo of the one of a kind logo, and the stick next to it, like, this is my daily morning ritual or however, and stuff like that. And so that's just the thing I'm looking at. I look at the whole market, look at my analysis of what is more popular in this market, what is more in this particular region, and I look at all of that and see, okay, where, how do I adjust from there? How do I pivot, for lack of better terms, to make sure that we can continue to build upon or expand upon what we're doing with our groundwork.
Terrific. I remember that video, I think it was TP last year, where that retailer came by the booth and he was a big Steeler fan. He had a Steeler tattoo on his leg, and he showed Ike and stuff. That was pretty cool. Yeah, it was such a we're going to get into this in a second, because we're going to break up right now and go into a couple of our fun segments. But it was such a joy to meet those gentlemen that you've partnered with, in Ike and Leon at the trade show last year. It really got to, we had a great time. We had a great interview. You can check it out on Cigar Coop, and we had a great booth report for outlining these products and just getting to know those guys. And it was a really fantastic time. So good stuff. We're going to talk a little bit more cigars and your team here in just a second, because I had a couple more questions for you. But we are going to break up the show a little bit and go into a couple of our fun segments. And this first segment, of course, is our presidential trivia segment. This is a little bit different than last year. We had a different segment by United Cigars, Howard, but don't worry, it's multiple choice, so you don't have to worry about it. But we do have some presidential trivia that we're going to take you through. I've got 2 questions tonight because I thought they were a little bit more fun, just based on a couple of connections for you personally. So tonight's presidential trivia segment is always brought to you by United Cigars, featuring La Giana Havana, distributors of Jose Dominguez, Bandolero, Garofalo, and the highly acclaimed Atabey, Byron, and Alfonso lines from Selected Tobacco. Smoke one today and start living united. Now, I was trying to think of a couple of things, Howard, that could connect you to a couple of our presidents and everything. And of course, the first one was thinking about your name. And actually, the second one which led me to my second question, which was also your name. So we haven't had any presidents with the first name Howard, but we had a very famous president with the middle name Howard, and that, of course, is William Howard Taft. He was the first president to actually ever serve as president and then serve as Chief Justice in the U.S. Supreme Court. That was actually his dream job. He didn't want to be president. He wanted to be the Chief Justice in the Supreme Court. That was his dream job. So he was obviously a lawyer by trade. That's how he came up. He was actually a very reluctant political figure. His wife, we talked about those honey-do lists a little bit ago. His wife wanted him to be president, and he eventually became president. He was handpicked by Teddy Roosevelt and ended up taking the Oval Office. So anyway, so this first question has to do with him. So after he was president, before he became a justice on the Supreme Court, he ended up going back he became a law professor, and he taught at his alma mater, which was which Ivy League school? So was his alma mater A, Harvard, B, Dartmouth, C, Yale, or D, Cornell?
What year was that? Can you tell me that?
That he taught school?
Yes.
Yes. Give me 1 second. I believe so. He ended his presidency in the 19. Okay. So it was. I don't know the range. I don't know how long he taught. I am gonna look this up. Taught. I am looking this up. This is terrible. I should have this. I should know this. So he taught between it was actually basically during World War I. He taught between 1914 and his last year on staff at this school was 1920. He was appointed to the Supreme Court in 1921.
Okay, and so it's Harvard, Yale, Cornell, or what's the
Dartmouth.
Oh, Bear. That's a long time ago, brother. I'm gonna take a shot in the dark. I know a lot of presidents have gone to either Harvard or Yale, so let's just say Yale.
And you are correct, sir. That is a great guess. Fantastic. Fantastic. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so got another one for you. This one's a little fun too. Okay, so again, we'll go back to your name, right? So you're a junior, Howard Gumbs Jr. Okay. I'm going to give you a couple of these and I'm going to eliminate them for you, okay? So how many US presidents have been juniors? Now, Bill Clinton was not a junior. He was actually the third. He was William Jefferson Clinton the third. George W. Bush was not a junior because his father was George Herbert Walker Bush, not George W. Bush. So he was not technically a junior. So excuse me, how many junior presidents have there been? A, 11, B, 3, C, 25, or D, 20?
Okay, so I'm gonna go with 3.
There are actually quite a few more than 3, but not 25 or 20. The answer is 11. So I'll break them down for you. Now, one of them's got a really funny story for you. So our current president is actually a junior. Joe Biden was Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. Born. Barack Obama was actually a junior. How about that? So Barack Hussein Obama. And as I mentioned, Bill Clinton was not a junior. He was the third. Jimmy Carter was also a junior.
Okay.
This is the funny one. Gerald Ford was a junior. So Gerald Ford was not the name he was born with. He was born Leslie Lynch King Jr.
Leslie Lynch King Jr.
Jr. So he became Gerald Ford because he actually took his stepfather's name. Ford was the stepfather. So his father, his wife, his mother married obviously Leslie Lynch King Sr. And they got separated like I don't know, like a week after Ford was born. Yeah. So and then he really wasn't part of his life. So she remarried, obviously. And so he took his stepfather's name. And now here's the crazy thing, right? So she married a man named Gerald Rudolph Ford. So he became Gerald Rudolph Ford Jr.
So he was a junior twice.
So he was a junior twice, yeah. So he actually had two names. He was born Leslie Lynch King Jr. and he became Gerald Rudolph Ford Jr., which is crazy.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah. So that he officially changed his name later in life too. Like it was like he was in his like early 20s or something like that. So that's pretty cool. Like a pretty cool story. So Calvin Coolidge was also a junior. Calvin was actually his middle name. His first name was John. So it was John Calvin Coolidge Jr. I mentioned Teddy a while ago. So Teddy Roosevelt was actually a junior as well. William McKinley, his predecessor, the man he took over office from when he was assassinated, was William McKinley. He was a junior. But then you have to go all the way back into the 1800s, earlier 1800s, to get to the Lex Jr. James Buchanan, John Tyler, who we've talked about John Tyler a number of times on this show. He actually has a grandson that's still alive. Yeah. John Tyler was president in the early 1800s. He has a grandson that's alive in 2023. So here's what happened. I've mentioned this before in a previous episode, but I love this fascinating stuff, Howard. So forgive me. I'm sorry. So John Tyler had like 16 kids. His last kid, he was born when he was 70 years old. Okay. When John Tyler was 70 years old, that child, his youngest, also had a child when he was in his 70s. So that's his son. And then his son had a child in like his 50s, and that child is still alive today, his grandson. So John Tyler has a grandson that's still alive. It's pretty crazy. It's crazy. Like James Madison was also a junior, and then the second president of the United States, John Adams, was also a junior too. And then he, of course, had his son was president too, John Quincy Adams. So, but like George W. Bush, John Quincy Adams was not a junior because he had a different middle name. So, fun stories, good stuff. But I think I asked you this last time. Is there a Howard III?
No.
Okay.
I have a son, but
yeah, I knew you had a son, but I didn't think it was Howard.
Yeah, it was Isaiah.
Now I mean, obviously you go by Howie, you go by Howard, it's Howard G. So like is Howard your first name?
Yes.
Okay, so it is like it's legit Howard Gumbs Jr. Okay. Was there
father's full name?
Was there a reason you decided that you didn't like? I've always been fascinated by this. Like people want to carry on the legacy, people don't. Was there a reason why you didn't want to name your son Isaiah after you?
Honestly, my son's name was supposed to be Howard.
Okay.
That was the agreement. Like, because I've always wanted to keep my dad's name going on. But then at that particular time, I was so young, and his mother wanted to go with, Isaiah, biblical name, yada, yada. I'm like, okay, fine. And in my mind, I was like, you know what? Don't worry about it, because my dad had 6 kids and I'm the baby of 6. So he has 4 boys. I was the fourth son. So there's 3 guys before me, that did not get the name Howard.
Okay.
I mean, the last one, and he had two girls between that time as well. But I got the name Howard, so I was like, I'm not gonna stress that. If I have another son, then I will definitely, his name will be Howard III. And then what ended up happening there is I've spent time just traveling, just doing my businesses, and then I looked back and said, I can't start over now. My boy's playing football, now he's graduating, and now he's 19, and I have so many nieces and nephews. I mean, I have another niece about to have a child, and then one of my younger nieces, she just had a child like less than a month ago, and everybody likes their Uncle Howard, to send them. So I thought about it, and me and Rachel was talking. She's like, you're a fantastic uncle. If you have a baby, your lifestyle is going to stop right now, right? Because there's not going to be this traveling, there's not going to be this stuff like that, And I'm like, you know what? You're right. We're at the point now. We're going to just be some great uncles and great uncles and great aunts, and continue to just build our businesses and travel and just enjoy, because it's kind of hard to start back to the diapers, man. When once you not had to do it for, umpteen plus years, it's like kind of hard to start back to that.
Yeah, I think we talked about this last time. My sister got married, not October of 21, but or excuse me, not October of 22, but October of 21.
Mhm.
And she ended up getting a stepson out of it, who's grown. He's actually a freshman in college now, so he's about the same age as Isaiah. And I was like, man, you skipped all the fun part, And she's like, no, I didn't. She's never had to change diapers or anything. So I think she was traumatized as a young teenager. So I helped my sister babysit from now, and then we babysat this kid, number of kids over the years. It was always her, and she was basically babysitting both of us. I was, I'm 5 years her junior and stuff. So, but I remember we were babysitting this one kid. Neither of us had ever changed a diaper, but he needed a diaper change, and I think that traumatized her because he was, yeah, it was quite a disaster. So, yeah, I told my wife and I are thinking about having a third, and I basically said the same thing to her. I was like, we better do it now before I get used to not changing diapers as much. So, because that's having to go back and do that with the second, I was like, oh, I forgot how annoying this is. It's not that bad, especially when you're used to it. But yeah, I can't imagine going back, over a decade later and then doing it again. So, but is Isaiah in school? Is he in college, or what's he doing?
So Isaiah is going to school. He's going to Valencia, and he's a little different than his dad. I've had to I had to bite the pill and realize that I couldn't. He's not a sales guy like his father. That's not really his forte. He's more into animation and the different things like that. So he's more of a product of what it is now with the gaming and all that kind of stuff. So
it's cool.
So yeah. So I mean, I was like, man, but I just said, you know what, man, whatever you want to do. And he's like, yeah, Dad, I'm more into animation and things like that. So I connected him with some of my friends that have the road in that region. And so he's still a mama's boy still at this time. So I told him he's gonna do 2 years here in Valencia, in Orlando, and before I let him go and spread his wings out, because he's still like a mama's boy, So, and that's his thing. I tried to get him. We smoked. I had him. Well, what was so cool is he smoked his first cigar with me when he turned 18, and then when he graduated high school, I took him down to Miami, and he hung out with me and his uncle, and he got a chance to smoke a lot of cigars, so he enjoyed it. And then I had to break it down to him and let him know that this is not cheap right here. You know what I mean? So like, you know, I'm letting you enjoy this while we're here, but I want you to understand this is something that you'll be able to enjoy once you're able to afford it for yourself and to properly gauge how you're doing things in life. And so he understood, and he's a great kid. I'm just so thankful and blessed and grateful that I was able to produce a quality young man to society that never been in trouble a day in his life. He's a great kid. He's a yes ma'am, no ma'am type of guy. And just he's not that sales guy that I wanted. So other than that, no, but he's a great kid. So we're definitely blessed by that. That's the natural right there.
Yes, yeah, I've spoken the natural. Next. It's been a while. I've smoked a lot more of the, I'll say I've smoked a lot more of the Maduros, not because to answer your question from earlier tonight, I honestly don't know which I prefer. I like both of them. I guess I'm still trying to find out. I have ended up smoking more Maduros for one reason or another. I did really love the Blanco. You gave me a couple at the trade show, and I smoked one, a few weeks after the trade show. I let it rest a little bit, and the one I put back until we had really cold weather here in Texas a couple of times this year. And it was after the first one in December, we had like 4 straight days of like really super cold. Like it was at one point it was like -10,
Wow.
And so so it was that cold, right? So after 4 days it got up to like 35, which feels like a sauna at that point.
Absolutely.
Which is crazy, because like I went outside, I was like, I'm gonna smoke a cigar, and she's like, man, it's still really cold. I was like, yeah, but it feels so nice because the sun was out too, but it had been so freezing. And I mean, I went outside bundled up. I mean, I wasn't like just in shorts and t-shirt or anything, God, but I lit up the second Blanco and I really, really enjoyed it. It was really good. So
I did talk to Rachel earlier today prior to our podcast tonight, and I remember she was supposed to send you some Cameroons, and so since she told me, she said, babe, I did not send in Cameroons, but I'm going to send it this week. So what I'm going to make sure to do is I'll make sure throw you in some more what was it, Blancos?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the Blanco. Yeah, whatever you send, I'll be grateful for, Howard. Thank you. Yeah, she mentioned it.
Yeah, we'll see. But I know she was sending definitely the Cameroons, but I'll throw some more stuff in there for you.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, she mentioned she was going to say, she's like, I'm sorry, I forgot. I was like, no, don't apologize. I have plenty of cigars, but thank you very much. The gesture means a lot. Thank you. So wanted to move. So that was we kind of got off track a little bit, but that was our United Presidential Trivia segment, which is always brought to you by United Cigars, featuring La Gian Havana, distributors of Jose Dominguez, Bandolero, Garofalo, and the highly acclaimed Atabey, Byron, and Alfonso lines from Selected Tobacco. Smoke one today and start living United. So last time we were on, Howard, we're continuing to do our charity segment each week with our guests and everything. But last time we had you on, you brought up a really great charity that we're also going to talk again about tonight. We're going to remind some folks about the great work that you do for a great organization there in Orange County, the Orange County Police Athletic League, which is a great organization and everything. Talk a little bit about, I know we had you talk a little bit about it last time, but, I know the mission statement is, about educate, not just recreational and athletic programs, but also education programs for children in the Orange County, area. But talk a little bit about why this organization is so important to you all.
Well, the reason I'm very passionate about that organization is, number one, this is a community that I live in, right? I'm born and raised in this area. And so it's always good to see where your money is going, if that makes sense. A lot of times people just send off money. You never get a chance to see what's actually going on. And so the first thing I always do is I give a shout out to Jeff and Tanya from Corona Cigar Company. They allowed what they call the group of us, which is called the Coronians. They're allowed, and the president is my buddy Ray Kudre. he put that together as far as cigar individuals raising capital for that. And we've done so many things together where it's bunch all the proceeds and everything went to PAL. And so it just been a fun time. And I give an example, just it hasn't been 6 months, maybe 6 months ago. You know, they did a raise at Corona Sand Lake, and it was a ticketed event, $225 per person, and it was the Red Meat Lovers event. But the tickets was $225. Proceeds go to PAL. There was all you can eat steak and different things like that.
Sounds terrible.
I'm still trying to get the weight off me from that event. But and then one of the things they always do is we donate things, and then they have so many things to raffle. And I remember that evening, there was things that we were just raffling. You know, I'm signing my name on things because the proceeds go to the kids. And I remember they had a huge bus. It was a green, like, it was not like, I don't know if it was a bus, but it was a huge gaming vehicle that said Orange County Police Athletic League. And Ray said, Howie, why don't you take a look inside and see where your money's going, or what you guys was able to help with. And I walked inside and I looked at it and I said, wow, this is awesome. There were so many TVs with the games on each side. And then I went outside, and then there was about maybe 5 to 7 officers that were from, it's with Orange County. And, just to be able to see what they've been able to do in the last couple of years has been outstanding. It's been motivating as well. And it makes us want to do more. I know one of the cool things was last year, one of our good friends opened up his home, and it was, like I said, us Coronians, what they call us. We had some poker games, and I know I donated some boxes of cigars. I know Jeff donated a lot of things, and then they had other different types of things. And it was about maybe 45, 50 people there. And I remember at the end of the raffle, it was Tammy, who was the treasurer, which is a really close friend of mine. She's actually the lady that introduced me to Rachel. But at the end of that, I had Ike Taylor there as well. At the end of the day of that evening, we raised, close to $30,000 just at someone's house, and just enjoying each other, smoking cigars, raffled off cigars. $150 box of Black Moses Limited. Somebody paid $500 for it.
Oh, very cool.
So that type of things. And then, a few weeks later, I'm at Corona, and Ray sees me and say, Howard, I just want to let you know, we were able to purchase 3,200 and something bags, school bags, and filled with stuff that they need for going back to school. It makes you feel like you're a part of
part of something. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I saw the thing about the bus program, the I guess really I don't know the term, just really tricked up, souped up. Yeah, I guess, bus or anything. But the whole point is it's to, it's like an after school program, essentially, like to keep kids from, getting distracted with, let's just say, less attractive endeavors. So I think these kinds of programs are really great in a lot of ways. I mean, like the most prominent one that you think about is like Boys and Girls Club and stuff like that. But I really love, particularly, there's a lot of organizations, like the law enforcement organizations, that give back to their communities, like Orange County Police Athletic League. And I think it's so important for a number of reasons, not to be overshadowed, especially by the climate today. The topic of police is such a sensitive topic, politically and everything. And I don't want to get into that necessarily tonight, but I love that there's organizations like this, and I wish that they got more attention, because, when we talk about the topic of police, it's usually just talked about in the confines of their day-to-day job. And again, I'm not going to get into the political discussion that's in society today about that, but that's the discussion always. And one of my biggest things, no matter what side you land on in particular, is that there's so much more out there that's done by law enforcement and first responders than their day to day. And this is a great example of that. And they do so much great stuff for the community of Orange County and everything. I love that you get to see the fruits of your labor too, Howard. Like, you've dedicated time and a lot of money as well, like you said. And, every little bit helps. You've had the opportunity and the means to donate probably more than the average person, but every little bit counts. $10, $20, $5, that's notebooks, that's pencils, that's stuff for these bags that they did for kids and everything. Because I think I think what's really lost, particularly with school, and this could be much longer discussion with like teachers having to buy their own school supplies, and that's a whole other topic. But like, school supplies ain't cheap. Like, I have one kid in school. I have another one in like daycare, so that doesn't count. But I have one kid in school, and his school supplies list this year was, I mean, we dropped $150, and it's not like we went crazy.
Yeah.
With stuff. I mean, that's nuts. It's just nuts. And not everyone has that. We take it for granted. So it's, that sounds, it's great that they're making a difference and you're seeing the impact. That's fantastic. So thanks for talking about it, Howard. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned this get together with the Coronians and stuff like that. And we'll go back into talking a little bit more about Howard G Cigars and everything. So we didn't really discuss the formality, I think, before. I think we just talked about in general and everything. But my question was, so you've partnered with, and I've used the term partnered with Ike Taylor and Leon on the All Pro Series. Now, Howard G Cigars, are they a part of the company Howard G Cigars, or are these the All Pro Series? Are they independent projects that are underneath the umbrella? Like, how does that dynamic work and look like exactly?
Absolutely. So with Howard G Cigars, the whole umbrella, I broke it down to three different aspects. You have the Black Moses series, the Majestic series, and then the All Pro series. So in the All Pro series, the Ike Taylor, the Leon, those are just on the All Pros. So anything that we also additionally add that comes to the All Pros would have to actually go through my two All Pros first, right? For them to give the green light on it. I never was an NFL football player, so I can't give qualifications to be an All Pro. But the two individuals that can is Leon and Ike. My qualifications are a little different. My qualifications is that you really need to really care about cigars and really be a true cigar smoker, not an individual that wants to just have your name on a cigar, because we're going to put you through a process to create the perfect blend that's for you. And so during that process, you're going to be able to see if you're a true smoker or you're really not.
Right.
Also, the next thing is going to be is, are you going to be willing to be a part of the company to help your brand, right? And so, and that's the thing. When you look at Leon, I'm so proud of him. His radio station in Jacksonville last year was in the top 20 in the country. And there's a segment that's Lunch with Leon. He also currently works for the Jaguars. Mm-hmm. And so their playoff game, I was so proud of them. They had an actual video of Leon talking, which his voice is literally like, I put him up there with James Earl Jones, in my opinion, when you listen to his voice. And the whole stadium, before they played the playoff game at home, it was against the Chargers, I believe. It was Leon, and then just the fire from that, and what he's doing with that. And then when I look at Ike, Ike now, the reason Ike wasn't at TPE is because Ike now has got his dream job, which I'm super proud of him for. He's now a scout for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And so with that being the case, he's traveling the combines and all the different things like that. And now he's going to be all over Florida, over for the top universities and things like that in the scouts. And he'll be in the war room with the Steelers when it's time for draft day and things like that. So
that's awesome.
So the cool thing about it is with our pros, they have their actual cigars. Their partnership is with the company as well. But our focus with them is on the All Pro Series and doing events. We try to do events together with all of us, but it's also events that we do separate. So I'll give an example. Okay. Next couple of weeks from now, March 24th, I'll be doing an event in Jacksonville, Florida, at Island Girl on Gate Parkway, and that'll be myself and the big Searcy. And so we're expecting a great turnout. We know some of his former Jacksonville Jaguar teammates and friends will show up, and he's already a legend in that city. And so we're going to really do a real big event featuring the little Searcy, and then also we'll have everything else, the rest of the line with it. But what we will have featured will be the little Searcy. And so with Ike, it's been such a great time with Ike. I've been all over the country with Ike, doing cigar events and for the Pittsburgh Steelers, doing so many different cigar events and just in Pittsburgh in general. And not just that, we're doing other things that we're really not putting on camera. There are certain things where there's groups that are calling, they're doing millionaire hangers, different events, but it's not open to the public. It's like a private event and different things like that. So it's really great having those guys on board. And we're looking at some other individuals as well that their name is in, they've been reaching out constantly about doing things, but we want to make sure that it's authentic. And then Barry, and I know you and Coop, y'all travel a lot. I know Coop was at Pro Cigar in the DR. I saw all the pictures he was posting. He was happy, man.
Yeah, he was having a good old time. He sure was.
Time. And, but when you look at the process, what it takes to make the cigar, when you want to make a premium cigar, not just a regular cigar, when you want to take your time and make sure that you're going to stamp your name and put something out there to the consumer that you stand by, that's like, it's kind of like, getting a chance to eat at your dinner table where you took your time and put your love and sweat and tears in it and say, this is my finished product. We don't want to never rush that either. And so a lot of times people think, okay, we want to make a cigar, it's gonna be right then and there. It's not gonna be like that. There's a process that we're gonna go through, and we're gonna make sure that when we release it, guys like yourself are able to try it and say, man, wow, and give a positive review, where compared to someone that's just trying to rush and put something out just to get in the game, if that makes sense. And
no,
so,
absolutely.
But as far as those as partners, yeah, Ike is definitely a partner. Leah has a partnership as well.
That's the one thing that I've really enjoyed about their work inside the industry so far. Because like you said, we've seen a lot of celebrity cigars. We've seen a lot of celebrities. We've seen them come and go. They've been at these trade shows. Like you mentioned, why I couldn't be at TPE, but he was last year, and he's been at 2 PCAs now. Now, you mentioned him getting his dream job, and I know Leon's got his own endeavors as well. Do you expect them to both be at PCA this year?
Yeah, so they both come to PCA.
Oh,
so
wonderful. Okay.
So for us, PCA is the main one. That's the main one because it's all about us. It's all about cigars. It's all about, there's no vapes, there's no weed people, there's no people trying to give us mushrooms and all this kind of stuff. None of that. Is all cigars. And so with that, I want those two guys there as well. And honestly, man, we have such a good time. Literally. Man,
God, it was a blast, man. Like I said, it was one of the most fun. It was probably the most fun booth that we went, and we had a great time. And we had a great time at some other, but it was I'll interrupt you. I'm sorry. The experience at your booth was like this. It really felt it was like the first time I met Ike. It was the first time I met Leon. For that matter, it was the first time I ever, no, that's not true. I talked with Rachel over the phone, but you know, it was just you and I on the show that one time last year, and we've talked a couple of times since then. But like the guy said it too, because it was their first time meeting everybody, you included. And we walked away from that, and it was like all the guys said the same thing from the Cigar Coop Coalition. It felt like we had just spent like 45 minutes with family.
Yeah.
And that's what it felt like. It felt like we were like family got together for, a little bit. And it was such a fun time, just a great time.
And honestly, that's honestly what we're about. We're about family. We're about relaxing and enjoying itself. I mean, there's so much issues going in the world today. So when you're able to come and smoke a cigar and relax, you know what I mean? You're able to relax, whether you might have 2 or 3 hours, like I might have at a lounge, or if you have 45 minutes to an hour, you gotta go, just to sit back and relax and smoke that cigar. Let's try to keep something positive. Let's try to talk about something that's gonna keep you uplifted in some type of way. So you leave that, man, you come down there, you come in there, you have a bad day. My goal is to make sure, especially if you're in my presence, is to try to stick you with a little Howie dynamite and blow you up. Like, hey, let's go, man. I mean, you might have had a bad day, bro, but you didn't lose the fight. It was one round. You still got a chance to knock the person out next round. You know what I mean? From not a violent standpoint, but from a standpoint of just whatever's going on in your world. So, and that's how we get, man. We literally, our events are literally energetic, we believe in having a great time, but we believe in enjoying it. If you're smoking a cigar and everything in your mind is negative, I don't care if it's your favorite cigar in the world, that cigar is not gonna taste good.
It tastes like shit. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
But if you're sitting there, you're in a positive environment, you're around quality people that's like, we had the same discussion last night, and I had a couple NFL players there, and I had some NBA guys, and they were talking about the difference, and I remember Ike saying last night, he says, man, the difference is, man, when it's time for playoffs, man, we're one and done. We got one shot to prove that we can keep going each round. We can't lose a game, turn around, regroup, and come back, because we're not playing whoever gets the 4 wins first.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can look who wins 4 games first and say, okay, that's the better team. Out of 7 games, we beat you 4 times first. We got the 4 wins, we're a better team. And one of my buddies played on the 18-0 team with the Packers. I was messing with him. His name is Brandon Merriweather, first round pick, really good safety. And he was like, I still believe the Patriots had the greatest team of all time, Howie. We went 18-0. I said, you're right, but you lost 18-1. Yeah. Those guys from 1972 were still popping their champagnes when y'all lost that Super Bowl. The Dolphins from 72 is the only team that went the whole season and went undefeated.
Right.
Meaning they never lost. They won the championship.
They were a perfect team. Yeah.
So another argument that was last night was some guy saying the greatest basketball team ever is the 73-9 Warriors. I said, no, it's not. It's the 72-10 Chicago Bulls.
72-10 Bulls.
72-10, and they won the chip. These guys went 73-9, had a 3-1 lead on LeBron, and LeBron came back and won 3 games straight. That's
right.
They lost. That's not the greatest team. But honestly, Bear, everybody hugged it up, laughed, and had a good time leaving, getting in our own vehicles, going home. But the great thing about it was we all had something coming. We were all smoking a cigar, having a good time, and having a great debate. Nobody was mad. It was just being, you was passionate about what your view was. Yeah. I was passionate about my opinion, but we all was able to come together and say, you're right, we're gonna follow this conversation up next week when everybody else is back in town. You know what I mean? And so for us, that's what it's about.
I've always said, just a slight, I'm going to join this argument real quick. The slight thing that I love about this is that, there's the GOAT argument, right? LeBron and MJ.
Yep.
LeBron winning that championship actually solidified MJ as the GOAT in my book because he proved he beat the best team, regular season team of all time. But in doing so, he proved that Michael Jordan was the GOAT, in my opinion, which I loved. I think that's a great attribute.
That's my argument right then and there. LeBron James is a phenomenal player. I have nothing but respect for the guy. The guy's done the game right. For you to come in at 18 years old with all the pressures on the world on you to be from a single parent household, your kids are blessed because you just said your son noticed for my name, he knew Magic Stick because he sees it in his papa's office, right?
Mm-hmm.
So take a guy that didn't have a dad, had a mom, didn't really have anything, have all this pressure on the world, right? And to literally come in and have a squeaky clean at that age, young, with that type of money, right? In this type of world, with social media, where everything you do is camera is on you, for that guy to be that squeaky clean, I have nothing but the utmost respect and appreciation for the talent that LeBron James is. Now, with that being said, LeBron James has never put fear in nobody's eyes when they had to play him. But there's a guy that they say call him that black cat who smoked cigars in a locker room before going out there and putting 50 on you.
Yes.
That guy that hung in the air. And that guy is the greatest of all time. Now, LeBron might be the best specimen of an athlete, God-given ability, talent, height, size. Guy can play 5 different positions on the court and all that stuff. But the greatest of all time in my book is Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
Absolutely. I agree.
What is top?
I agree. Those are just the three, and I think Mamba's the other one, right? Kobe's the other one. Yeah. Those three guys, I've listened I don't know why I've been on this kick lately. Just this last year, I know it's been a few years since his passing, but I've listened a lot back to some of Kobe's previous interviews.
Yeah.
And just hearing him talk about his story, because he had a similar upbringing too. Like he failed really early on. He was not the best player. He doesn't have the infamous story of getting cut from his basketball team like Michael Jordan, but he wasn't good. He'll tell you that. He told people that in interviews. He was like, I wasn't good. He's like, so he started small and worked on different aspects of his game until he got great. And it like just hearing people talk about the way that those guys practiced is, and I'm sure like probably years from now, we'll probably hear similar stories about LeBron. Because LeBron's still playing, so I think it's different. There's more of a mystique with the guys like who used to play with them.
Yeah.
And people hated practicing with Jordan because he practiced harder than he played in games. Like it was more intense. I watched this series of videos about the greatest game ever played, which was a scrimmage, the Dream Team, the 1992 Dream Team scrimmage. And it's just like these guys are just beating the shit out of each other in a practice game. Like just, oh man, and then Christian Leitner's there. He's like he's the lone kid from college. He's just sitting there scared. He's just probably scared out of his mind. Like guys like Bird and Malone and Barkley and Jordan just beating the crap out of each other. Oh God, that's terrifying. Yeah, I think that's just to go back to your point. Sorry, I know we kind of got lost here, but to go back to your point about the great equalizer cigars, like these top athletes played at the top of their game, 2 different sports, arguing over this main point. Like I bet that was so much fun for you. Like you said, you don't come from that. I bet that was just so much fun to be in the middle of that.
It was literally like 7 of us out there. And that was the conversation. Only thing sucked is that, we thought it was 2:00 and then we looked at our phones and it was actually after 3:00.
Right.
And I'm like, I got to get up for church in the morning. And I was like, I got a flight to catch in the morning. And we'll resume this in a week,
Nice.
But yeah, man, it's very literally, I literally promise you, man, I get the most joy smoking a cigar and just meeting individuals, and we have a conversation. And when I go into the lounge, I have my Yeti, and you see my cowboy star on it, and I keep my ice and full of water. I try to drink that like 5 of those a day, and the conversations that start up from that, it could be somebody that's an Eagle fan, you know what I mean, or somebody Giants fan is like, oh really, you got this cup, and then all of a sudden we have a whole conversation going on for 2 hours, and then leave out of there smoking our cigars, found a new friend, but we disagree on when it's for football season when we play each other, and then we have some type of friendly wager, you know, a box of cigars on who has a better record out of each of our teams or something. It's just something that comes out of that, right? And it's a blessing, but it's all because of the cigars.
It is, and you know, this is the time of the night I wanted to again thank you publicly too. I know I messaged you after you did it, but you and my brother share a birthday as well as a favorite football team. He's a Cowboys fan. I'm the Packers fan, as we all know, but he's a Cowboys fan, and you guys share a birthday. And I remember talking to you about it, and you sent him some cigars, and he was so blown away. He's like, hey man, he's like, hey, did you send me some cigars? I was like, no. And I knew who it was. I knew it was from you. I was like, no. And he's like, how did I get these? And I said, my friend Howard sent those to you. Those are his cigars. And he's like, oh, I see that. What, but why? And I was like, you guys share a birthday and you guys are both Cowboys fans. And I told him that, and he said he wanted to send you some cigars. He's like, how did he get my address? I was like, well, dude, don't be stupid. Like I gave him your address.
I wrote a note to him too.
Yeah, he did. He's like, I couldn't believe. He's like, he was just so in awe. He's not really involved in it's like he smokes cigars with me, but that's about the extent of it. He loves cigars, and we always smoke when we're together and stuff. But he doesn't know anything about this world or anything really. And so he's just like, so he just did that because I was like, yeah, he just did that because, and he was like, it was a great moment. It was just so awesome. Thank you so much for doing that. That was such a gesture. Thank you.
He's a fellow Sagittarius. He's a Cowboy fan. He's your brother. I mean, yes, consider it was my honor to do that, man.
Awesome. So, last thing I wanted to jump to, just have a few more questions tonight, Howard, before we call it a night, and we have a few of our sponsored segments. But before that, I did another congratulations to you, by the way, a little belated, but still pretty new. We were talking about kids a few minutes ago, but you are recently married to your wonderful wife, Rachel. You know, you guys were engaged last time we talked, and then you guys got married after PCA. So congratulations on the recent nuptials.
Yeah, November 4th. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. How's being a newlywed again?
If you want me to literally be honest with you, honestly, the only thing that's changed from how our relationship is she makes sure that I don't leave the house without my ring on. And, you know, and I said, well, I'm making sure you don't leave the house with your ring on. She said, well, I had a long process of being your fiance, so I've always made sure I have my ring when I leave. Nice. But I mean, other than that, man, we just enjoy each other. She's amazing. I believe she's God's gift to me. We are totally opposite. So, like when we look at something together, she's gonna look at it from her angle. I'm gonna look at it from my angle, and then we're able to like mesh it together. She's the backbone of Howard G Cigars, extremely successful real estate a broker, and agent here in Orlando as well. But I've never met a woman like her. And what's funny is, you know, when I first met her, it took about 4 years for me to get a chance to date her because I needed to slow down in life. And so once we got together from a first date, we were pretty much inseparable from that first date. And I told her, I said, just so you know, just letting you know here, I'm just because I like to just be transparent. I'm like, letting you know I'm going to marry you. And she was like, okay. And I'm like, so
That's bold, man. That's bold.
exactly a year from the very first date, we had anniversary dinner, 1 year anniversary dinner at Eddie V's. And so I made sure she walked on the left side of me because I was about 40 pounds lighter. So with my suit, I had that box in my right pocket, and it was bulging with that. So I had to kind of like, play it off and stuff.
Yeah,
And,
you got to get your hand in the pocket and cover
yeah,
it. Like,
I'm doing all this stuff, make sure she's ahead of me and stuff like that. And once I was able to slide that ring to her, she looked, and it was just awesome. And from that point on, like, she's just like been the happiest woman in the world. She's like, oh, my husband. And so I'm so blessed to have her. And there's not nothing I don't run past her in our business. Ike and Leah both, they call her their little sis. And so we actually look forward to PCA because that's when we do our dinners together. After that, we get together, all four of us, and we have dinners, and we just sit back and relax, and just love on each other and tell everybody how we appreciate them, and likewise, and we find out what's some goals and what's some other things we want to do. We just spend that time, and Rachel's the one that she's the facilitator. I will call her the point guard on the team.
Nice.
She's the point guard. I might get more credit because I'm in front of the cameras and things like that. But let's just let this be known that I don't bring the ball up on the court. So if she, I had to have somebody that passed me the ball, and she's the one that facilitates that for us. And we couldn't be more happier than to have her as the boss lady that's facilitating for the company, and making sure she sends most of the emails. She does, she puts most of everything.
Queen of logistics, man. Yeah, she's been great. She's been great.
She just had a birthday on the 10th. And
awesome.
Yeah, she just had a birthday on the 10th, and so I had a chance to like really like spoil her and tell her, listen, man, this is all for you, all about you, and I want you to enjoy it. And so, and she still got, I think she told me she got a couple days left to finish off everything else from her birthday. And so we're just honestly, yeah.
I feel terrible now. I called her to confirm the show on her birthday just a couple days ago. I was like, hey, I just want to make sure we're all good. I had no idea it was her birthday. I feel terrible. I was like, okay, well, I'll talk to you later. She's like, all right. I'm like, I could have said that. I didn't know. I'm sorry. That's terrible.
No, bro, no problem, man. She's totally like, she's a Pisces. Like, she's the easiest person to get along in the world. So I'm just blessed to have her, and we're thankful.
So here's a question I love to ask. I've been to a ton of weddings. I've been to a lot. And I've also been in the bridal party of a ton of weddings too and everything. One of my favorite things to do is always look at the groom when the bride, comes down the aisle and everything. That's one of my favorite things. So did you guys do a first look, or was when she came down the aisle, was that the first time you saw her in the dress?
When she came down the aisle was the first time. I'll send you the video.
I'd love to see it. What was like? I remember when Chris, my wife, came down, like when they opened up the doors. We got married in a church. I know you got married in that beautiful outdoor ceremony. Those pictures were awesome. So when they opened up the doors and I saw my wife for the first time, man, I literally felt 30 pounds lighter because of the breath that like I let out. I literally took they say it's just an expression. It wasn't. She literally took my breath away. It was just unbelievable. Unbelievable moment. I'll never forget it for the rest of my life. It was.
Yeah, I sweat, right? I don't know why. I just sweat a lot. That day, the sweat literally, it looked like somehow there was only one person that was getting rained on outside. It was me, and the sweat was just coming. I was kind of, And I'm sitting there going like this, and I'm looking in my eyes, and I'm gonna send you the video, brother, because I want you to see. It was pretty cool.
Awesome.
The way it was set up. She wanted she only had one request, and her request was, she says, Howie, we'll have 400 or 500 people at our wedding if it's up to you because of how you are. She says, I want something that's intimate, like 50 people. So I said, well, this is what we're gonna do. I'll let you make the list. So then all the other people that say, man, why wasn't I invited? I wish I could have been there. I knew I should have been invited. I'd say, listen, man, you didn't know my wife, bro. You didn't know her at the time. So I had her put the list together. It's her day, how she wants it. Only thing I wanted, since it was outdoor and on the water, is to pull up on the boat. And I wanted to have my guys with me on the boat. And so on the boat, it was myself. I had a Black Moses Limited. There was Ike Taylor with his with his one of a kind Sumatra, Leon Searcy with his Big Search, and then my two of my brothers, Derek and Lamar, that live here in the Orlando Kissimmee area, that were on the boat with me. So, and they had a so we were all just hanging out on the boat, out on the lake, and but I only had one rule that she gave me. She wanted me not to light the cigar because she didn't want to have her first kiss have cigar.
To be breath. A cigar kiss, yeah, I got you.
I said, okay, I could respect that. And so I just pretty much just had the stick in my hand. We took pictures like that all while we was waiting. And then the guy said, okay, Howard, it's time. So I had to get up from the boat and stand next to the guy that was driving the boat, stand up. And then the rest of the guys would just sit back. And then it sped up like that onto where I get off at, not where the people were catching it all on camera. And my favorite artist of all time is Ronald Isley. I'm pretty much an old soul. I really like soothing, relaxed music. And my favorite song, literally, by Ronald Isley is Nothing But Smooth Sailing. And so when I pulled up, I had the cigar in my mouth. It wasn't lit, and it pulls up. And then when it gets to where the sand is, they bring the stairs. I get off the stairs, and then the guys get off behind me. I walk around, and then I walk up to where the podium is, that way around through the center aisle, and they have that playing. But the one thing I always sticks out of my memory is all my guys that had cigars there, they all formed their own little smoking section during my wedding in the back. And when my manufacturers and other my buddies, they all reached in their pockets, took out cigars and lit the cigars, and were literally smoking a cigar during my ceremony. So it was something like, people were like, Howie, this was the coolest thing ever. I've never thought I could smoke it. But it was fun. It was so memorable. It was literally, I would say, the greatest day of my life. My mother was there. My father had passed away 2019, so he couldn't be there, but my mama was there, and she was, sitting there like this when we put up on the boat. But when Rachel came down that aisle, it was literally, it was a thing of beauty. And I literally could not stop the sweat from flying. And I literally was speechless, bro. And so that day was really, really one of the best days of my life. And honestly, since then, we've honestly just been just rolling ever since. We're like, oh, we're at 4 months now, baby. You got another, 4 months of a lifetime. Let's keep it going.
Sounds good.
So
awesome. That's beautiful. Well, congratulations again. All right, that's awesome to you and Rachel. That actually brings us into our next segment, which is our next brought to you by Asylum Cigars. Refuge is more than just a physical place. It can be a state of mind. Some of life's greatest reflections can be found in your own personal asylum. Moments like these were made for Asylum Cigars. Light up an asylum and choose your refuge. Now, Howard, this is a little bit of history here. You were the first participant in this segment last year before it was actually tied to Asylum Cigars. So we're bringing it back. We actually have great partnership with Asylum and have this one. And so if you remember, the question was around smoking a cigar in refuge, basically by yourself. What was that moment about and everything? So I wanted to change it up a little bit because of your recent nuptials and stuff. So I wanted to tie it to the first cigar that you had by yourself after you had gotten married. So I don't know if this was later that evening, the next day, the next week, I don't know. But do you remember what your first cigar as a married man was, and what were you smoking?
So just so great question, by the way. I smoke a lot of cigars. I smoke about 4 or 5 cigars a day. But so my thing is, we had a smaller wedding. But we created 200 cigars for the wedding. So it was a different blend. I made it a Connecticut blend. It was a 56 by 6 torpedo. And then we had some special bands made on it. It was called the Perfect Match.
Oh, that's awesome.
I think it was Rachel and Howard. They had the dates and everything like that. Matter of fact, I'll make sure we see you one too, bro. But so what we did was we did that, and that was the first thing that I smoked. And I smoked that cigar. How ironic is the people that were at the wedding that smoked the cigar too was like, hey, is this something you're gonna bring on the line? We really like it. I'm like, oh, that was a limited edition that we did specifically for the wedding. But my plan was for the rest of them that we have resting is every anniversary that we have, we're gonna take one of those cigars, me and her, and then cut it and light it and smoke it.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
the reason why I made it a Connecticut blend, because Rachel will smoke a cigar every now and then, stuff like that, but she really likes a Connecticut. She's got a profile. She really likes a Corojo wrapper now too, but she really likes a nice flavorful cigar, but not too strong. And not too long or big, She'll never smoke a big Searcy ever in her life. But I give example, like that was our plan. So that was the first cigar that I smoked as a married man. And then
awesome.
I'm always gonna tell you the truth. I followed that up, but with the Padron 80 year.
I figured the Padron would have been somewhere in there.
Yeah. Cool. There's at least about 60 Padron 80 years in my one humidor. I have 4, but one right there. There's about at least 60 of them in there.
Nice.
But that's what I smoked that, and then I smoked that next, and then I went back to my other stuff.
That's beautiful. That's awesome. What a great story. Terrific. That was our Asylum moment. Refuge is more than just a physical place. It can be a state of mind. Some of life's greatest reflections can be found in our own personal asylum. Moments like these were made for Asylum Cigars. Light up an asylum and choose your refuge. So 2 more segments, Howard. Again, thank you so much for joining me tonight. This is one of our, I call it, it's more like, I guess characterized as a lightning round, but I call it this or that. So it's pretty simple. I give you a choice of 2 things. Some are cigar related, some are not cigar related, and you just pick one. That's it. That's all it is. So this or that. So we're going to start with pizza. Stuffed crust or regular crust on your pizza?
Stuffed crust.
Awesome. So are you a Pizza Hut guy? Pizza Hut made it kind of infamous, or?
That's my favorite, Pizza Hut.
Okay, Pizza Hut stuffed crust. Yeah. I remember the first time. So I know this is supposed to be a lightning round, but I love stuffed crust. I love telling this story. We didn't grow up with a lot of money. So the first time I ever ordered a pizza was on my 10th birthday. And I called Pizza Hut and I ordered a stuffed crust pizza. And it was like, at the time, I don't know, it was like $10, which is just a lot of money. And I was like, are you sure? And I looked at my mom and I was like, he said it's going to be like $10. And she's like, yes, it's fine. It's for my birthday. It was like, I absolutely loved it. And it was great. It was everything I wanted it to be. And that is a shout out to great marketing, because I remember the Dennis Rodman, David Robinson commercials about crust
Yeah.
first. That's the reason I wanted it. So shout out to the Worm and the Admiral for making me want that pizza. And it was fucking money. It worked. Great marketing. Great stuff. So okay. Next one's cigar related. Type of cut on your cigar. Guillotine,
Huh?
guillotine or V cut?
Depends on what I'm smoking.
Okay.
If I'm smoking the black, if I'm smoking the Black Moses Maduro or natural, I typically, if a V cut is available, I'll go with a V cut.
Okay.
If
Is that how you smoke the 80ths? Your Padrones?
If I have a V cut, if I have a V cut with me. Now my everyday, I keep the a regular cutter with me. The V cuts be like bigger and thicker and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't like pockets bulging. But if it's somewhere I'm going and I'm purchasing a cigar and they say, would you like me to cut it for you? If it's something that's in that shape, I'll tend to go to a V cut. My preferred will be a regular cut.
Got it. So
What
I know
you?
Guillotine, man. I could guillotine everything. I straight cut everything. Even your Black Moses too. Like I cut like torpedoes and figurados. I cut at a slight angle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a create more surface area. So all right. So you and I are people. We like speaking to people. I've heard you referred to as the mayor of Sand Lake. So you like being around people, but would you prefer to speak to a large group of people or a small group of people?
I prefer to speak to a small group of people because it's more intimate. When you're speaking to a large group of people, it's hard to give everyone. It's hard to make everyone engage at the same rate, if that makes sense. So, if I have my choice, when I say a small group of people, I'm not saying 4 or 5 people. 10 people or something like that. I can engage with all 10 in one setting in a better scenario than if I'm talking to a group of 200. If that makes sense.
No, absolutely.
And I like to engage. Like if I'm having a conversation, I like to look at everybody in the eye when I'm talking. So it's not like I'm talking, but I'm looking at this person. If it's 200 people and I'm talking to them, it's hard to look at all 200. But if I got 10 people, I can definitely, in a conversation, I can definitely engage with every single one, where every single one feel like they're just as much a part of the conversation as the next individual. So I would say a small group.
Nice. Yeah, I like speaking to people in general. I would say that I probably agree with that. I like the challenge of speaking to a larger group. It feels more like a speech, but typically, but I enjoy that challenge. I enjoy that part of it, but I also like small groups too. I like one-on-one conversation too. I just like you, I like people. I think that's probably why we like each other so much. All right. So taking it back to the old school, to your school days, class clown or honor roll?
Both.
Okay. If push came to shove, what'd you more lean to? Did you lean more into the books or were you more the class clown?
More of a class clown. Yeah. I put it like this. My father, his main issue with me was that I did not put forth as much effort that I should. And I give you an example. So I come home, I have 2 B's, 2 A's, 3 B's, maybe a CU or something like that. Or I have, 3 A's and 4 B's or something like that. I would show my mother and she was like, oh, great job, babe. And she said, oh, 3.2 or 3.1 or whatever. She said, good job. I showed my father, he looks at it, and he would say, Juliet made straight A's. And Juliet's my sister, she's an anesthesiologist in Atlanta, she's doing really well. But he would say that, and it would just piss me off, man. It would just piss me off. And then one time, few days later, I kind of got the balls up and I said, man, why every time, I mean, I got a 3.0 above a 3.0 average. Like, why every time I show you my report card, Mom's always saying, great job, but you're always referring to me to Juliet and saying Juliet made straight A's and this. And I didn't get it to, my older years. But he said to me, he says, when you make a 3.0, but you have the ability to have a 4.0, I call that slacking. Now, if you were making a 2.5 and that was the best of your ability, I call that great.
Mm-hmm.
So what he was saying to me was, Howard, you get your work done, and then you're cracking jokes and you're having fun and you have fun. Now, granted, the teachers were really cool with me. I'm the guy that bought my teachers flowers to school, my lady teachers, all that. So, if it was ever I'm on the corner or the cusp between a C and a B or a B and an A, I had enough relationships with them. They would give me
nice.
You know what I'm saying?
There you go. Yeah.
And so I kind of I wrote off of more of my relationships and my ability to create a friendship or some type of positive assessment with my superiors in school, wherein and that benefited me, where some people, they probably wouldn't give them that nod. But when I look at what my dad was saying, my sister would go home and she would study constantly. Now, she was older than me. She was like, 8 years my senior, but there she was constantly in the book studying and things like that. Yeah. But for me, I didn't want to be a doctor. I have a sister that's a judge of St. Thomas and St. John. I didn't want to be that. I knew what I wanted from an early age in life, that I felt like my gift was to be in sales. Mm-hmm. And so I messed around and read a book that told me, that, the A plus and B plus students typically work for the C students. And that really is. And I'm like, well, I'm a little bit above a C student, but like those, guys, they typically work for the entrepreneur. And so that was something that I kind of stuck with. But when I look back at it now,
and you got that from your dad, because your dad was the entrepreneur too.
Yeah, and I got that from him. But he was just saying that if I applied myself even more, I could have hit a 4.0.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, I got it. That's true. But I probably wouldn't have been able to play football. I probably wouldn't have been able to do this, that, and that. And so I wanted to get my work done and then have fun. And a lot of stuff for me in school was common sense. Like, you give a person multiple choice. One answer is completely nowhere near the vicinity of being correct, right? And you have another one that's going to be like, I don't think that was correct. So then it's really much the next two that you got to really focus on, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's different compared to now you got to fill in the blank. So those things when you have to fill in the blank, now you need to have to study, because you got to know the correct answer, the right in there, compared to having that multiple choice. And you can start to, break the numbers down and say, okay, this is not right, this is not right. It'll be these two, one of them. And so that was something that, if I had to look back over it, I would have probably spent a little bit more time studying in that facet. Yeah. That's what my father was pretty much saying. Is what he's saying.
Yeah, no, I completely can relate to that. So I had Ken Hamlin on last week.
Okay.
You're right. So Ken was talking about his dad. His dad was very strict on him growing up. I think it was more disciplinary. We didn't really talk about academics, but my father was a disciplinarian. And he also kind of held me to that standard. So he wasn't as tough on me as your dad was, Howard, but he was still pretty tough, because like every time I would hand him my report card, which was I did a little bit better than you. I had a lot more A's than B's, but I still had a mix. My sister was also a straight A student, so I
Yeah.
get that too. The older sister was the perfect one. My brother, which we were talking about earlier, he was the worker. He worked his butt off, and he got all B's, but he worked really hard.
Mhm.
And so my dad would always say, "Is it my mom would do the same thing as your mom? Oh, great job. These are great grades. Good job. I'm very proud of you." That kind of thing. And
Yeah.
my dad always made a point to say that he was proud of me. But my dad, every time when grades came up, he'd always look, and the question was always the same. It was like, "Is this the best you can do?"
Yeah. That's what it was.
Yeah, is this the best you can do? And it was like, God, man, it just like cut to the core. And he never asked my brother that, and he sure as hell never asked my sister that.
Yeah.
And it's because, again, like you said, years later, I realized it's like, yeah, he just knew I was capable of more. And I did the same thing. I wasn't, the class clown or anything, but I did, I always say this too, like school came easy for me. And
Yeah.
it just did. I worked hard, but I didn't work super hard.
Exactly.
And it was just one of those things. So tying into that, the next this or that is, would you rather be called, and I think both, because I think both of these apply, given your track record and what we just talked about. Would you rather be called clever or driven?
I'll say more than anything, I'm driven. I have a self-drive there. I have a will to succeed. A lot of times when you deal with clever, a lot of ideas might not just be for me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I can take an idea from someone else that we could just be having a conversation and just talking about it. It's not my idea, but I can take that idea and run with it and put it in fruition. See, the thing of it is a lot of people don't get started. When you sit around people and you let people talk a lot, people have amazing ideas. A lot of clever ideas. But if they don't take the initiative to start, all it is a clever idea. Now, if I take the idea and run with it, I'm driven. I'm not the clever one. Because it wasn't never my idea. But I ran with it. He didn't run with it. So if I had to pick, I will always say driven.
I think that I thought about these two, and I was like, man, I think these are two things that I would probably describe you as. And I had a feeling you were going to say driven, because it's proven. It's just absolutely proven. All right, last question, cigar related. Do you prefer a shorter or longer cigar? Smoke time, relating to smoke time. Shorter smoke time or longer smoke time?
Now, there, you know what type of cigars I make. So when you say shorter compared to longer, are you including the big Searcy in the conversation? Or are you excluding the big Searcy from the conversation?
Let's exclude the big Searcy because I think it's the anomaly.
Okay, so let's say I would smoke more of a Toro. My ideal smoke would probably be a 6.5 inch.
Okay. What does that last you? Does that last you about an hour?
Yeah, I tend to, especially if I'm having a cocktail or something, I tend to smoke a little bit faster with it. So an hour is what that would usually run me, and then I would light up something else. But if I'm in the middle of a deep conversation where I'm doing most of the talking, then I'm not really going to be smoking as much compared to if I'm doing majority of the listening, So I would say that particular cigar probably lasts me 45 minutes to an hour tops, and then I will light up something else.
Nice. Perfect.
What about you?
A shorter smoke time, man. I love my Robustas and my Coronas. So
like a 5 by 50.
Yeah, 5 by 50, man. It's like my jam. I really like the what you did with the little Searcy, that kind of Robusto Grande,
Yeah.
5x52, 5x54, 5.5 by 52. Like that's become a little bit of my favorite recently. Henderson Ventura down at Tabacalera Ventura, he does Ad Ventura, does a bunch of booth stuff, and Caldwell and Tony Bellato, La Barba. He makes a lot of Robusto Grandes or Robusto Gordos or whatever you want to call them, over across a lot of the brands that he makes for people, and as well as his stuff. And he fucking nails that size, man, and it's great. Like a bunch of different blends in that size just rock. I love them. So it's good stuff. Yeah.
Robusto Habano. Or have you not tried that yet?
I haven't had it in the Robusto. That's why I forgot about it earlier when we were talking about it, and I was remiss about that. I apologize. But
no, you're good. I just want to know. Make sure we sing some of that too.
Thank you. I was not me digging. So if Rachel's watching, I promise I'm not just asking.
No. It's telling you, Barry, you know you my guy.
Yeah.
I really enjoy talking with you.
Thanks. So this leads us into our last question of the night, Howard. I can't thank you enough for spending your Sunday evening with me. This is it's been such a great conversation as it was last year as well. And I look forward to more and more time spending time with you, getting to know you, and thank you for the opportunity. I can't thank you enough. I know you're an incredibly busy man, building your brand, and doing all the hard work that you do, and to take time away from Rachel, like you said, you don't get much of, because of how busy you guys are. But I know you guys are partners, and so you guys spend a lot of time together, but still taking time away from your new bride, it means a lot to me. So thank you. So this is our last question of the night, which of course is always the Dunbar Tobacco and Trust Curveball segment. Fastballs or curveballs, it doesn't matter. Since the company's inception, Steve Saka has been knocking them out of the park. 8 consecutive years in the consensus top 3. Congratulations to our good friend, Mr. Steve Saka. So we've been talking about a lot about your partners tonight. We talked about Ike Taylor. We talked about Leon Searcy, and they were renowned at their positions for a number of reasons. And they were all pros, as we've talked about. So I know that you played football as well. So I'm talking about in your peak physical time, when you were playing at your very best. Would you rather get pancaked by Leon Searcy or knocked or tackled by Ike Taylor?
Well, because I played linebacker, it would probably have to get pancaked by Leon Searcy.
That brings more. You would rather have that happen, or that instills more fear in you?
That would probably be more of a reality, because being a linebacker, I would never get tackled by Ike, because he would probably be taller than me. But probably I would probably be trying to blitz or something, because I played Mike backer. So I'll be probably trying to hit a gap, and Leon is known for that punch, and so he probably would have flopped me on my neck. Not probably, but it's probably a 99.9% chance he would have done.
After meeting Leon, I probably would have answered that too. But then again, man, I saw so many hits that I could put on players over the years, and I just I ended some. It was funny. I was watching ESPN a couple of weeks ago, and it's a former player. Oh, I'll tell you exactly what it is. So you remember when Tua got this? Like, remember, we're just talking, ladies and gentlemen. So don't look at me as a bad guy. But this is a true story. So Tua got hit with a concussion, and he was looking like his hands got stuck, like he was throwing up gang signs, right? Yeah, like it completely just rocked him. He rocked him. Yeah, it was nuts.
Yeah. So I'm watching one of the ESPN shows, and it's Bart Scott, former linebacker, playing for the. So he was talking, and he goes, "Man, Tua needs to retire, because if Tua keep playing like he playing, he gonna end up like Pat White." So I'm like, Pat White, why does that name sound? So I Google, right, Pat White, and it comes up on Google, top of the thing, Pat White's hit by Steelers Ike Taylor.
Yeah.
I click on it, and I'm like, that's what Bart Scott was talking about. That play when he ran at Ike, getting him. And then he went on a stretcher and he
leveled him. God, he leveled him. Yeah, no, he put on some devastating hits, man. I remember he put a pop on Donald Driver once that I was like, God, I mean, he was terrifying. The greatest hit I ever saw live, like I was actually at the stadium, I was in college, and he was a college player. He went on to play for the Bengals, but he played for my alma mater. His name was Marvin White. He played strong safety for us. And we were playing Texas Tech. It was a really heated contest. There was, a lot of trash talking in the weeks before, leading up to the game and everything like that. And at the time, it was Graham Harrell was the quarterback for Texas Tech, and he had like this triumvirate of receivers. Danny Amendola actually played for him. But like a bunch of other, and there was this one guy's the best receiver, I believe, if I remember the name correct, it was Robert Johnson. I don't think he ever went to play pro or didn't do much in the pros or anything like that. But he was the best, right? This was before Crabtree. This was like the generation before Crabtree. And I remember it was a pass over the middle. Johnson caught it and leveled by Marvin White. And Howard, I'm talking about a stadium packed full of both Red Raider fans and Horned Frog fans. I mean, the entire stadium is just loud as all get out, and like they see the pass go up, and you just hear this scream, and then you hear the pop over all that screaming, and then this it was like someone sucked the air out of the stadium, and it was like dead silent. And it was the craziest thing I've ever experienced watching live sports. And it was just unbelievable. And yeah, I mean, and I could put hits like that on receivers like every freaking week. So I don't know. I was thinking about this question. I'm not sure, because they both kind of terrify me, but then again, I'm not sure. I still don't know who I would pick.
But Bear, think about it like this, Bear. A pancake coming from Leon is really his hands reaching out, right?
Yeah.
And with a punch. Ike's coming downhill, and he's coming with that helmet like this.
Yeah.
Like that. So would I rather take a helmet from Ike coming to tackle me and hit me helmet to helmet? Or rather, what I would rather running, because as a linebacker, we're getting some type of physical touch every play, unless I'm taking 2 steps up and then I'm running back in the flat, right?
Right.
But I'm looking at it like I'm going after the running back. So I got A, B, C gap. So I'm going to go through a gap. And my eyes is on the back. Let's say he's running to the right. And I'm going to the left, and my eyes is on the back trying to get there. But somebody like Leon Searcy gets off of the block of the defender, and then he's at the second level and he hits me with the He's not gonna drop his helmet and hit me.
That's true. That's true.
He's gonna hit me with his hands. Now, his hands are so powerful that depending on how he hit me, I can either fly back like this, or I can hit in the air. He's that strong. But if I'm getting hit by Ike, that means I gotta be the guy with the ball. So if now I'm running the ball and I'm trying to make a play, I gotta watch out for wherever I'm at on the field. Because if I'm going out of bounds, he's gonna hit me out of bounds if I'm not already out of bounds.
Right.
So you gotta look at the errors from when they played. That hit I put on Pat White, if that happened in today's game, that's all kind of penalties, fines, and everything that way.
Yeah.
Back then, it was totally legal.
Yeah, totally normal.
When you think about, and I tell you this, I love talking to you because I love to tell you inside stuff. But a few weeks ago, Ike called me and said, "Come to Corona." I said, "Okay." He says, "Man, Peasy, his teammate, which is Joey Porter, linebacker, still a great, is gonna be coming through." I said, "Oh yeah, I'm definitely coming." So we go there. I find out that he's defensive coordinator. Hines Ward is coaching the XFL team, a team from San Antonio. Man, that night, I don't think I got home till 4:00 in the morning. We had the greatest time in the world because I can sit next to Joey Porter, and now Joey Porter's talking. And so I know Ike's favorite two. I know this. Ike's favorite two guys that took him under his wing when he was young on the Steelers was Joey Porter, and of course, Troy Polamalu was his best friend. So you got to understand, like, when you're playing in that particular defense with that kind of brotherhood that the Steelers have, like, they're like literally like, we are blood brothers type scenario. We will lay our life on the line, down on the line for you. And so I look back at it and I see how Ike would rather put a major hit on you than to grab the interception.
Yeah.
That makes sense back in that in those days. Because he's putting the hammer down on you and making a huge pop, making the ball separate from you, fumble or whatever, and just hitting you hard. The whole defense is fired up by that. And so I fast forward that to the playoffs with my Cowboys. What I believe is the reason we completely lost the game against the 49ers, who had a backup, who had a rookie quarterback who did a phenomenal job against the Cowboys. I will never take anything from him. But there was a certain play where I believe it was 4th down, and they was going for it. And Purdy threw the ball across the middle to who I think is the second greatest tight end in the league behind Travis Kelce, which is Kittles. But Kittles was bobbling the ball. Now, Trayvon Diggs, who last year had 11 interceptions, so he's leading the league with interceptions last year, took a few of them back to the house and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. If he was Ike Taylor, that ball would have never got completed by Kittles, that bobbling ball.
Right.
Because
he would have knocked him out.
Because Ike would have hit him, and he would have never touched the ball. Trayvon Diggs just closed his eyes and just tried to throw himself in front of Kittles. He mistimed it, doesn't even touch Kittles. Kittles bobbles the ball, catches the ball, and now the 49ers got a first down inside our 15-yard line. They go on and score a touchdown.
Right.
So when you look at it like, okay, I got a cornerback, he's good at getting interceptions. Like, he wants to look for the pick. But if I got a cornerback that's going to come down and hit you and separate you from the ball, that's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, those guys were ball hawks, man. That's crazy. That's just.
So it's like.
I can't imagine that secondary with both of those guys, Taylor and Polamalu. Oh my God, that's terrifying.
Those linebackers. Woo.
And they weren't. Yeah, it's not like they were.
James Harrison.
James Harrison, Porter.
Carrier, Joey Porter.
Oh God, that's gross.
Get hit by those guys. Oh man.
Yeah. You'll believe in God pretty quick.
You better believe it.
That's awesome. Well, Howard, I can't thank you enough for your time tonight. Again, I really appreciate it. Really, really appreciate all your time. Great smoking a cigar with you, having a great conversation as always. Great year for you. Great new releases, I know, and they're doing incredibly well. And it's just the beginning. You're continuing to build this brand and everything. We're really excited about the future of Howard G Cigars and look forward to seeing you again in person at PCA. So along with Ike and Leon as well, and Rachel too. So it'll be a good time again. We know we're looking forward to it. So for everyone out there, thanks to our audience for staying up late with us as always. We really do appreciate all those likes, shares, and comments. Keep them coming. If you always want to check out our calendar of upcoming events on ELOsoFumar's Facebook page, you can also check out our YouTube page by the same name, ELOsoFumar. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. If you're listening to us wherever you listen to podcasts, whether that be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, or wherever you listen to podcasts, be sure you download, subscribe, and review as well. If you are a subscriber, do me a favor, hit unsubscribe, but don't forget to hit resubscribe because that helps my numbers. It allows me to bring back great guests like Howard Gumbs Jr. We thank everyone out there for everything, and we thank Howard as well and his team for allowing tonight to happen. And a special thanks again out to Rachel, not only the wonderful new wife of Howard, but also the queen of logistics. That's the name I'm giving her, for putting this all together and allowing him to come back. So thank you so much. We really appreciate everything out there. Again, I'm Bear Duplessis, live from the Alec Bradley studio of Azle, Texas. He's Howard G of Howard G Cigars. Guess what, everybody? We'll see you next time.